Well, well, well. It is absolutely Upset Saturday. We had two, and I'll say two controversial games in a sense. And we're going to look at that as we get started here. What's going on, Santiago? Daniel M., what's going on? Kelvin Bryant, the real Daryl in the crib, what's going on? Michael Pitt, Michelle Pitt, what's going on? We got some good discussion going tonight. Troy, what's going on? Again, LaQueen, Daniel M., and again, what's going on? Lord Nova, Jared, what's up? Randy Mahoney, what's going on? Mike, Malicious Details Podcast, what's going on? Not yet. I'm still working on the call-in show. Send me some details if you don't mind, Michael, about what do you use for your call-in shows if you do them? Because the one I'm doing, somebody had turned me on to an app, and they would talk. It asked for an access code of some sort. So I really don't want to use that kind. But you put something in the chat if you can about that, because I definitely want to start doing a call-in show here the next week. Jared, what's going on? Recruiter in the crib. Kevin Howard, what's going on? Jose Quavado, what's going on? Jason Lewis, what's up? Ice cold cowboy. Ice baby. Yeah. I'll come back down in a moment. I want to get started here. I want to get started with the first game because the last game is the one we're going to spend quite a bit of time on. I'm not heavily vested in the AFC, even though I'm not heavily vested in it, but I still want to discuss the AFC. And the game, the reason why I want to discuss the AFC game today is because the NFL has a problem. The NFL has a Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift problem. The NFL has a problem. And this problem, somebody's going to have to address this problem with the NFL. Let me tell y'all something today. I just wonder if Diggs and Dale, I think his name is, I just wonder if C.J. Stroud has both of his wide receivers. I just wonder today, if the Kansas City Chiefs are able to beat the Houston Texans. The second thing that's got me perturbed about the Kansas City game, when are they going to start? When are they going to stop cheating for the Kansas City Chiefs? It doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes isn't still a great quarterback. It doesn't mean that the Kansas City Chiefs don't have a great team. It doesn't mean they don't have a good to great defense. It doesn't mean any of those things. But when you literally call phantom penalties that leads to not one touchdown, but two touchdowns, the referees should not be controlling games like that. I'm sorry, the hit to Patrick Mahomes when they said that he got hit to the head, that was a bold-faced lie. This is almost looking like, to me, when Sean Payton was with the Saints and got robbed with a pass interference call, and I mean a blatant one from the Rams. And I don't understand how they went back and looked at the replay on the first play and didn't pick that flag up. When you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, because they're still a good team. When you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to play mistake-free football. You pretty much have to play mistake-free football. So if you're making plays, if you're making stops, and then the referee comes back in and says, well, that was a penalty. You just gave them almost you gave them an extra play and extra plays, and now they get in the end zone. And then the second penalty. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I mean, they're going to have to really do something about this whole thing, when quarterbacks try to go down and slide and guys are trying to get at them. I mean, at what point is the defender supposed to stop? Does the defender literally have to wait on the quarterback? Does he have to literally wait on the quarterback to slide and not make a move? And if you're going to let quarterbacks do that and defenders have to freeze to wait and see what they're going to do, well, what happens when they're going to fake like they're going down and then they're going to run past you? The Kansas City Chiefs stuff needs to be studied. There's just something not right about this Kansas City Chiefs stuff. It's just something not right about it. There is something not right about the Kansas City Chiefs stuff. It is literally like the league wants Kansas City to go to the Super Bowl. It's like the league wants them to go to the Super Bowl. And when you look at C.J. Stroud today, let's see if we can look at some of the stuff on C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud didn't look too bad today. He was 19 of 28, 245. And I didn't think the team necessarily played bad. They just couldn't get it in the end zone. They just couldn't get it in the end zone. Joe Mixon, he was 18 for 88. He got one touchdown. C.J. Stroud ran 6 for 42. They just couldn't get it in the end zone. And don't get me wrong, the Kansas City Chiefs have a very good defense. I don't think it's as good as that Houston Texans defense. That Houston Texans defense was balling. But there's only so much they can do if you're going to give the Kansas City Chiefs an extra set of downs to be able to think about what they're going to do here and there. But the thing I think that got C.J. Stroud, you're going to need more weapons to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You need more weapons to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And so, again, I think this league needs to do something. This whole thing with Patrick Mahomes, I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, but it is like the league is helping him out on so many levels. And the refs, it's like the refs are in on this. Everybody's in on it. It's like the fix is in. It's like everybody know what's going on. It's a shame. It is literally a shame. What's going on, Issa? I'm telling us, it is a shame. It is a shame how this thing turned out. And I'm going to read some of your comments in a minute. You guys got some good comments going on. But the Houston Texans game just really bothered me because it's like they're playing. And I guess I can't say this. We're going to get to the Detroit game. That's the one we're going to spend the most time on. But the Houston Texans game, I'm sorry. It just needs to be studied what's going on with Patrick Mahomes. It just does. This league has got some serious issues. It does. And I think the technology is too good. I'm cool with all the challenges. I don't think that the league should be stepping in, changing every play or examining every play, whether there's something, a penalty on every play or whatever the case may be. But I do say these penalties, they should not let these blatant penalties that are either not penalties or are penalties that can change games. They just should not let that stuff go. They just shouldn't let it go. And you think about today. So C.J. Stroud was 19 for 28. The thing to me that's absolutely amazing when you look at this in the grand scheme of things, I've been telling y'all about, because I'm going to continue to relay a lot of this stuff back to Dallas wherever possible. It is Let's Talk Cowboys. But I want you to look at something. I'm going to show you what I keep saying about Dak Prescott. And you're going to understand this as these playoffs continue to unfold. This is not exclusive to Dak Prescott. Even though I keep saying I want this for Dak Prescott. I want Jerry Jones to get Dak Prescott a bona fide home run hitting running back. I want Jerry Jones to go on the defensive side of the ball and get a true defensive end pass rusher to line up opposite of Micah Parsons. If you're going to let him play defensive end, then you need to go get not just defensive end in name, but by size. Go in there and get you a bona fide defensive end, big pass rusher opposite of Micah Parsons. And really start figuring out how to control both sides of the line of scrimmage. Because if you want to win, and you want to win big in this league, you don't want your quarterback throwing the ball 30, 35, 40, 45. You do not want your quarterback throwing the ball that much. You want quality over quantity. If you're going to get some 65 plays, let's say maybe you get 65 plays, so 25 of those plays, you want those to be passes. Everything else run. Run and whatever else is figured in there. I'm sure they figure in kicks and stuff like that too. You want, offensively, you only want your quarterback throwing the ball 25 times. So you look at the Houston Texans today. I want you to see this trend. So the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, 19 of 28, 245 yards. This is pretty good. This is exactly what you want. You want to hover around 25. The only problem today, they could not get it in the end zone. That's what got them. They couldn't get it in the end zone. And Stroud, with a lack of weapons, it started to rear its ugly head once the Chiefs got the lead. And then once the Chiefs got the lead, well, that defense just started pinning its ears back, and they just started getting after C.J. Stroud. And I can tell you this right now. You're not going to win many games. How many sacks last week? How many sacks did the Vikings? How many sacks did Sam Darnold? How many times was he sacked by the Rams? Sam Darnold was sacked by the Rams 9 times. If I'm not mistaken today, C.J. Stroud was sacked 8 times. You're not winning many games like that. You're just not winning many games like that. But the Houston Texans defense, bar none. I like them. The defense is bar none. DeMeco Ryans is doing a great job. I want to show you, though, Patrick Mahomes. Look at Patrick Mahomes' box score. He was 16 of how many? 25. Patrick Mahomes is 16 of 25. This is exactly what you want. This is how you win games. Quality over quantity. They let Kareem Hunt come in, and Kareem Hunt, don't let this stat line fool you. Man, Kareem Hunt came in towards the end and put this thing away. Kareem Hunt put this thing away. This dude came in towards the end and wrecked shop. And while they didn't get the big yards that they normally get, what they ran 20 times. They didn't get the big yards that they normally get. They still were pretty consistent at running the ball 20 times. They were still, I think you still need to run it about 25, 30, 35 times. But nevertheless, Patrick Mahomes only had to throw the ball 25 times. He only completed 16 of those passes, and they still won the game. This is exactly what you want to do. But at the same time, if your defense is going to go out here and get, this dude right here, they had no answer for this. Karlaftis, dude, they had no answer for him. They had no answer for this dude. 4 tackles, 1 assist, 3 sacks. 3 sacks, 4 sacks, 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 7 sacks, 8 sacks. You're not winning a game. You're not winning many games giving up 8 sacks. You're just not winning many games giving up 8 sacks. And when your defense is getting 8 sacks, 9 sacks, hey, man, you're going to win a lot of those games. You're going to win a lot of those games. But I'll tell you this. I'm the Houston Texans. I'm not as discouraged because even with everything I just explained, even including the referees seemingly helping them to me, they still only beat the Houston Texans 23-14. They still only beat the Houston Texans 23-14. Houston Texans defense is off the chain, man. They're off the chain. They had what, 2, 3, they had 3 sacks. So they kind of lost the sack game. But the Houston Texans defense is bar none. Houston Texans defense is bar none. I absolutely love what DeMeco Ryans is doing with this defense of the Houston Texans. I'm telling you, you give them a little bit extra on offense, Houston's going to be a contender again in the AFC. I do think they need to probably get I think they do need to go in and get in the draft and get C.J. Stroud, another wide receiver. I'm not sure if Stephon Diggs is on some kind of 1 or 2 year deal, but I just don't know if Stephon Diggs is going to be the same when he comes back. I mean, to me, I think the Houston Texans, it would probably be in their best interest. If I was them, I would think about going and get a wide receiver like Devontae Adams. I think he's going to be available. If I was them, I would consider getting a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, because you really need playmakers in the AFC. I mean, you think about the AFC quarterback lineup. It's insanity. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I mean, just those 3 teams alone, you really need to have some playmakers. So, your defense can probably stop them, but you're going to have to be able to put points on the board. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they always seem to kind of be hovering in there, no matter if they're the 5, 6, 7, or 8. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals, you got Joe Burrow. Trust me, Joe Burrow will be back. I think they're going to do some things to fix that defense. They're going to sign Jamar Chase, and we'll see what they do with T. Higgins. But you need playmakers in this doggone AFC, man, because, man, they're loaded with quarterbacks. They're absolutely loaded with quarterbacks over there. So they're going to have to really, really get this guy some playmakers, because, to me, that was the difference in the game today with the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me go down and read some of your comments here. Let me see what I have here. Kevin Howard, yes, sir. Had him on upset. And I said yesterday, too, as it pertains to the Detroit Lions. 18 injuries. The NFL is also a battle of attrition. It does not matter how much talent you start the season with. The question is, how much talent will you end the season with? How much talent will you end the season with? And you can tell the Detroit Lions, Aaron Glenn, pump the brakes, everybody. Let's pump the brakes talking crazy about Aaron Glenn. He didn't look good. No, he's practically playing with all backups. They are playing, the Detroit Lions defense is decimated. It's decimated. And they did not have enough. It was obvious today. They didn't have enough. And I don't even know if they didn't have enough. We're going to talk about this in just a moment. We're going to pull up the Detroit Lions. Y'all have any questions about the Houston Texans, I can go back. But like I said, I'm not really I don't really have a vested interest in the issues going on in the AFC. It is what it is. We know what's going on. Patrick Mahomes, the referees, Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift. This whole issue needs to be studied. It's just pitiful. But yeah, the Lions, they were decimated on defense, and it showed. And they could not afford any mistakes or as many mistakes as they had tonight. And we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But let me pull up their box score. Upset of the playoffs to me. It is the upset of the playoffs. I wouldn't have been surprised if Houston would have upset the Kansas City Chiefs because the Houston Texans defense is just legit. So I wouldn't have been surprised. But I have to be honest with you. I'm surprised by this one. Even though I knew the defense was decimated, and Jaden Daniels, I said, gave him a chance because the dude is slippery. He can run the ball. But man, I am telling you, Jerry Jones, let me tell y'all why I'm happy. I am absolutely elated that the Washington Commanders won. I'm elated. And it's not because I'm a Washington Commanders fan. No, by any stretch of imagination, no. But Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was on the Dallas Cowboys staff. And I know Cowboys fans mad at Dan Quinn. He threw the game. That's what Stephon Gilmore said. And I got to kind of believe him somewhat based on what he said. But I'm telling y'all, I'm going to do a video about it tonight. You got to listen to his press conference that he gave. One of the things that Dan Quinn was perturbed with, and not just one thing, Dan Quinn was perturbed by three things that he made very apparent in that interview. One, being on a team that want to win. What does he mean by that? Of course the Cowboys want to win. What does he mean by that? The fact that Jerry Jones would do nothing in free agency and will make no trades. He made a comment, and this is the one I keep talking to y'all about, talking to us about. He also made a comment about the fan base. The fan base. There is a part of this fan base that you cannot talk sense to. They don't care about facts. They don't care about the tape. They don't care about anything. There is a part of this fan base that is so toxic, people do not understand. It wears on people. It wears on other fans. It wears on players when they read the stuff. It wears on coaches when they read the stuff. The media and how it is on this team, people do not understand. That stuff wears on people. Dan Quinn wanted to leave here, not to mention the stuff that Bobby Belt talked about. I'm telling y'all, people are mad at Bobby Belt, but that stuff is factual because I find it to be strange. How many days has it been now? How many days has it been since Bobby Belt said what he said, and you've narrowly heard anybody in the media come out and say anything against Bobby Belt? Y'all don't find that to be strange? I'm laughing. There are some content creators talking about, I don't believe him. What's your sources? What's your sources? Because I know he got some. I know Bobby Belt isn't making this up. Now, if somebody told him and they made it up, that's one thing. But I don't think they're making this stuff up. None of it. I don't think they're making any of it up. I want y'all to think about this. I believe Jerry Jones probably thought this somewhere in his mind before today. But watch this. Do y'all realize that Jerry Jones chose Mike McCarthy over Kellen Moore? Y'all tell me what Kellen Moore is. Jerry Jones is watching this weekend. Not just one, not just last weekend. He's watching it again this weekend. He's watching Kellen Moore win in the playoffs. He's watching Dan Quinn win in the playoffs. I'm elated. I'm elated. It's exactly what he needs to see. Man, I want the Eagles to beat the Rams so bad tomorrow. I want Jerry Jones to watch both NFC East teams play each other and understand you had the OC on your team. You chose Mike McCarthy over him. You had the defensive coordinator on your team. You chose Mike McCarthy over him. You had those players. Dan Quinn is eating with these players he got from the Dallas Cowboys. They're contributing. Dan Quinn is using these players from the Dallas Cowboys, and they look different with Dan Quinn. I told y'all Dan Quinn, in 1 year, built a culture. Kellen Moore, you can tell by the way he's talking. Kellen Moore's talking differently than he was when he was here. I want Jerry to see all that. I want Jerry to see all of that because Jerry needs to see that there is a change that he is going to have to make in Dallas, because at the end of the day, there's nobody else that can make this change. It's going to have to be Jerry. The real Darryl said, point the finger at Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson. They put the game in Goff's hand and he blew it up in their face. I'm not going to blame him, real Darryl. I understand, which I'm not going to disagree, but at the same time, I'm not going to put it on them. Nope. I'm not going to put it on them. Bone-headed turnover by Jared Goff. Boneheaded turnovers. They did not put the game in his hand. Nope, they didn't put it in his hand. It wasn't like it was like at the last moment of the game that they lost with Jared Goff. No. Jared Goff buried. He buried them. They had no choice. I want you to look at this. I understand exactly what you're saying, real Darryl. But I want you to think about this. Let's see. Where is it? I want y'all to think about this. Once the Washington Commanders, once they started going toe to toe, once they started going toe to toe with Detroit, it became a problem. And where they really started going toe to toe, this game was not lost in the second half. This game was lost in the first half. When the Washington Commanders, when they came out and decided that they were going to go blow for blow with the Detroit Lions. And I'm telling you, they went blow for blow. I give the Washington Commanders, I give Dan Quinn and what he did with this team. Man, they went blow for blow, Darryl. They went blow for blow. Ben Johnson started pulling out all the stops. Cliff Kingsbury. He started pulling out all the stops. But what separated both of them? Jared Goff. Bone-headed fumble. That's not putting the game in his hands. It's an expectation for the quarterback to hold on to the ball. It's an expectation for the quarterback to hold on to the ball. It wasn't really anything fancy. They got after him with the pass rush, and he fumbled. The pick six. It wasn't anything fancy. You're not putting the game in the hand of the quarterback in the first half. I mean, he's supposed to be doing this stuff. The quarterback is supposed to drop back and pass. I mean, we're not even at a necessarily critical moment, but it became a critical moment because he made it into a critical moment. That pick six, and they could have recovered, but he wouldn't stop. I told my uncle, I said, watch this. Jared Goff is going to throw another interception. The fumble, interception, pick six, interception. What does he do to close out the second quarter? He throws another interception. If he leads, if this is the one I'm thinking, if he leads the wide receiver to the hash mark rather than throwing it up the middle, it's a touchdown. He throws it to the hash mark. I'm not blaming Ben Johnson. I'm not blaming Dan Campbell. I understand the real Daryl. You can. I'm not blaming him. I just got to be honest. Jared Goff was awful today. Jared Goff was awful. There's no getting around it. He was awful. I thought the game plan that being called was great. How many times can you run the ball? Ben Johnson tried to settle Jared Goff down. He tried to settle him down. But the problem is they got themselves buried in a hole. That pick six and that fumble, those were the backbreakers. There was no coming back. I said it. After that, I said ball game. Second quarter, I said it. It's ball game. It's over. Commanders had way too much momentum. Ball game. 31-21. It was ball game. It was. And not to mention, y'all, we got to give Dan Campbell some credit. I mean, not Dan Campbell. Dan Quinn. We got to give Dan Quinn some credit. Dan Quinn out Dan Campbell. He out Dan Campbelled Dan Campbell. This dude, Dan Quinn, how many fourth downs did he go for? How many fourth downs did he go for? Because I'm telling you, Dan Quinn understood something. Let me tell you how smart Dan Quinn is. See, people have to understand people mature. People learn from their mistakes. And I believe that Dan Quinn is somebody who allowed the New England Patriots to come back from 21 points down in the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn learned something. Did y'all notice what he did today? Dan Quinn understood something. We're playing with house money. Dan Quinn said we're playing with house money. And since we're playing with house money, you know what Dan Quinn said? So what if we lose? Okay, we lose. Nobody thought we'd be here anyway, but here we are. So since we're here, we're going to win. And we're going to do it boldly. And the thing that blew my mind was the fourth down attempts. He out Dan Campbell. I mean, he just kept going for it on fourth down. Every time you think about this, how much do you think this actually wore out the Detroit Lions defense? Do we not realize that teams get relieved when there is a fourth down? When there is a fourth down, a team is relieved because they know they're about to get off the field. The defense says, okay, we're about to get off the field. Surely they're not going for it on fourth down and 2, maybe fourth down in inches, but not fourth down and 2. And Dan Quinn kept going for it. Third and shorts. You're thinking you're going to stop him. Dan Quinn kept getting him. Dan Quinn buried Dan Campbell, and he beat him in his own game. Let me read this super chat, then I'm going to get back. Roderick, what's going on? You up tonight, huh? Super chat 199. Yeah, I'm glad Quinn got the win too. I am. I'm glad he got the win because, just keeping it a buck, Quinn is a good guy. He is. Quinn's a good guy. And Jerry chose him. Jerry chose him. Mike, malicious. Nope. I don't have to think about it. Nope. Jayden Daniels is not better than Dak Prescott. Nope. I don't have to think about it. See, and this is the problem that I'm telling y'all we have in Dallas that Dan Quinn fixed when he went to Washington. See, we got a problem in Dallas. All we talk about is Dak Prescott. That's it. That's all we talk about in Dallas. Every loss is Dak's fault. Every win, it's a bad team. All we talk about amongst this fan base, and I'm telling you, that is something that Dan Quinn got tired of. Y'all might not realize it. Dan Quinn, everything he said in his press conference, Dan Quinn got tired of this talk right here. This talk right here. A rookie is better than Dak. No, he's not. He's not better than Dak Prescott. There's no stat that shows that. The only reason why you're saying he's better than Dak Prescott is because he's winning. He's now won 2 playoff games. But the problem is, let's rephrase that. He didn't win 2 playoff games. The very thing that we refuse to do here, Dan Quinn said, I'm out of here and I'm going to go to Washington and I'm going to show Jerry how it's done. Dan Quinn built a team. Keep telling people this is the ultimate team game, and we don't get that. It's the ultimate team game. And the NFL and the playoffs are a battle of attrition. And it comes down to, okay, do you have a team? Yes. Check the box. How many injuries do you have? How healthy are you from the beginning to the end? Don't think that Detroit's injuries didn't play a part in this. Detroit's entire defense were on the sideline out of football clothes. They were. But as I told my son, don't hate the player, hate the game. You still got to play the game. Even though you got 18 injuries on defense, Detroit, you still have to play the game. Problem is, you're going to have a hard time playing the game because your quarterback's not playing team ball today. Your quarterback turned the ball over 3 times. It's going to be hard to win when your quarterback is turning the ball over 3 times. But Jayden Daniels, we don't understand. We keep seeing this, and we keep seeing it over and over and over. We are so quick. We are so quick to crown, and we're so quick to dethrone. We're so quick to crown, and we're so quick to dethrone. We will crown a quarterback so quick. We'll crown them so quick, only for them to hit the second season. And all of a sudden, they come back to earth. Y'all don't realize, everybody thinking, oh, Jayden Daniels, CJ Stroud did it last year. You know who did it before them? Dak Prescott. They're getting the benefit of what Dak Prescott did not get the benefit of. Dak Prescott went up against none other than Aaron Rodgers at the peak of his powers. And Dak was on the sideline when they got beat. Dak went up against, we got to let the rest of these guys' careers play out instead of always jumping to the conclusion Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. Stop this stuff. Let the man's career play out before we start crowning him over somebody who has been to 10 Super Bowls and got 7 out of 10. Can we pump the brakes on all the Patrick Mahomes talk? It's the same thing about C.J. Stroud. It's the same thing about Jaden Daniels. And there'll be another rookie quarterback that'll come in and do it. If not next year, the year after that, there'll be another rookie quarterback that'll come in and do it after that. They come in because you find situations to where some of these teams are already pretty good when they step on the team. They're not the reason for the team winning. They're a part of the reason. And that's the culture that Dan Quinn has built. And this is one of the reasons I'm telling you. Dan Quinn mentioned his fan base. I love the Dallas Cowboys. But this fan base, it eats and destroys quarterbacks and coaches. It eats and destroys. And some of that's Jerry's fault. But we eat and destroy our quarterback. We're talking about Jaden Daniels is better than Dak Prescott, and I'll tell you that Jaden Daniels' team is better than Dak Prescott's right now. Currently constructed, that team is better than Dallas. Right now. Right now, that team is better than Dallas. And what makes that team better than Dallas is the fact that it's an actual team and not 53 brands. See, we're 53 brands. We're all man for himself here. We're every man for himself here. We're every man trying to build his own podcast, trying to build his own fame, or whatever it is he's doing. You don't see this stuff on other teams. Jaden Daniels is a part of a culture that Dan Quinn has built. Dan Quinn has built an incredible culture. And he has a team. And I'm telling y'all this. They haven't even started yet. Jerry Jones is on notice. Washington hadn't even got started yet. Dan Quinn did this in one season. What is he going to do in 2? Now, I'll tell you this, the one thing I do think Dan needs to do, Dan can't stop the run. If Jared Goff does not commit 3 turnovers, I don't think the Washington Commanders win the game. But if it was a 5th, we'd all be drunk. They have a better team than the Cowboys. And when you can turn a team over, when you can turn any team over, I don't care who it is. If you can turn any team over 3 times in the playoffs, I don't care what their record is, you're going to beat them. More than likely, you're going to beat them unless that team is also loaded. Yep, ice cold. They're the next up and coming squad. They are. They need a couple of things. Like I said, they need a wide receiver, I believe. They definitely need a wide receiver. Probably going to need another running back. But the defense, legit. Defense, legit. Jared said if Patrick Mahomes only throwing 25 times, why do Dak haters want him to throw a ball 30 plus times? Makes no sense. Nope. It doesn't make sense. That's not the way you win the game. That is not the way you win the game. Let me look at a couple of things, Jared, and then I'm gonna come back and we'll look at what we're talking about these 25 times. But you look at the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders were doing some crazy things in this game, man, and it was absolutely incredible. You think about these are the moments right here. You think about these moments. Now, this one here, they screwed up in the beginning with the 4th and 1 with Marcus Mariota. I thought that was a very dumb play. Marcus Mariota goes into the teeth of the defense, and some kind of way he was going to turn around and pitch it to Jaden Daniels. Stupid play. I thought that play was absolutely stupid, and I thought that the Detroit Lions were kind of going to be on their way around that time. Then, of course, they continued to bounce back. And so, of course, when the game got 7-3, I'm kind of like, okay, this is probably going pretty much like everyone thought. But then you get up in here and you think about these are the game breakers. These are the back breakers. Now, this middle number here is, let's see. The middle number here, y'all, is down, and the number next to it to the right is distance. Look at this. This is backbreaking. It was 3rd and 3. They went for it on 4th and 3, and they got it. Backbreaker. That is a back-breaking play. That is a back-breaking play, I'm telling you. A back-breaking play. This is a drive sustainer. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get that team off the field. This sustained the drive. It did. It sustained the drive. Only for the Washington Commanders to then get a touchdown. Backbreaker. Absolute backbreaker. And then you come further down. The Washington Commanders were doing this at various places throughout the game. They were doing these 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts, and there was just nothing there was nothing they can do about it. Look at this one right here. Again, 4th and 2. Backbreaker. Look at this. 4th and 2 again. Back-breaking plays. These are back-breaking plays. It's one thing to let a team convert on 3rd down. It's a whole nother discussion to let a team convert on 4th down multiple times. Because 4th down, okay, if I don't get you off on 3rd, surely I'm going to get you off on 4th. I'm going to get you off the field on 4th down. Backbreakers, over and over and over. You got 3 of them already. I mean, they're just breaking the back. Look at this. Look, here we go again. This was a backbreaker, 4th and 2. 4th and 2. Broke their back down there near the goal line. Dan Quinn refused to take field goals. I was shocked. I don't know about y'all. I was literally shocked at how many times Dan Quinn refused to take field goals. He refused to take them. Dan Quinn out Dan Campbell. He out Dan Campbell. He didn't give him an opportunity. He did not give him an opportunity. And those 4th downs, y'all, I'm telling y'all, it was those 4th downs, and it was definitely those interceptions. Those two things combined, backbreakers. Absolute backbreakers. They were. And Jayden Daniels, let's give him some credit. Jayden Daniels is magical on his feet. This dude is magical on his feet. He's so quick. He's magical on his feet. And I'm telling you, y'all remember? Boy, these are the good old days. Y'all remember somebody else who was magical on their feet in their rookie season? Dak Prescott. Not as quick as Jayden Daniels, but Dak Prescott had something else going for him. Jayden Daniels is a small, slender dude, so he's quick. Dak Prescott was a big and powerful dude, and there were a lot of dudes who used to always say in the beginning, when they would see Dak in the pregame, they were like, wait a minute, hold on a second. And you would hear defensive backs talking about this. Hey, man, this dude Dak Prescott is like way bigger when you see him in person. Dak's not a small dude. Now, he's slimmed up now. I think after this injury, based on everything that's being said, Dak's talking about putting muscle back on his body, building up his leg muscles and things like that. I think when Dak Prescott comes back, I think we're going to be a little bit surprised. I think he was trying to get slimmer. I think we're going to see a little bit bigger Dak Prescott because I think he's realizing that, no, you're going to have to be a little bit bigger if you're going to, you don't even have to be a running quarterback, but if you're going to try to be mobile, you're going to have to be a little bit bigger. But I want you to look at Jayden Daniels. Again, Jayden Daniels. Now, he's a little bit of a different animal. Jayden Daniels ran the ball 16 times. I'm going to go back to his passing, but he ran the ball 16 times. Jayden Daniels is officially a dual threat quarterback. It's official. He's magical on them feet, y'all. I'm telling you. Jayden Daniels is magical on them feet. Not taking anything away from him. He's not better than Dak Prescott. This is 1 year. Pump the brakes. He's magical on those feet, though. But you get this if you pay attention. You get these magical feet typically when the quarterback is younger. Now, Jayden Daniels, we'll kind of see what he develops into. Running is Lamar Jackson's game. Lamar Jackson will be running until he's out of this league. I'm not sure about Jayden Daniels. He got some magical feet. He does. He has got some magical feet. He was 16 of 51. He was breaking their back too with a lot of those runs. But I want you to pay attention to this. Let's go back up here. Look at Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels threw the ball 31 times. 31 times. It's not a lot. It's a little too much, about 6 too many, but 31 times. 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, 71% completion percentage. Now, watch this. Jayden Daniels is eating for, let's give him 3 reasons. Jayden Daniels is eating on the Detroit Lions for 3 reasons. Let's pump the brakes, everybody. Don't talk bad about Aaron Glenn. Reason number 1, the defense we saw on the field tonight for the Detroit Lions was not the Detroit Lions defense. Those were the backups. They were playing with a bunch of backups. I mean, they were hurt worse than the Cowboys were on defense this year. 18 injuries. Even had an injury tonight. The Detroit Lions are decimated on defense. And that was one of the things I mentioned about this pregame. I was concerned. The Detroit Lions defense. Aaron Glenn has been doing some of this same stuff like Zimmer. He's been doing some magical things. But if you look at some of the games down the stretch, they were giving up some points. They were giving up some major points. And in giving up those major, they're not the same defense. So reason number 1, Jayden Daniels is eating off play action because that's not the regular defense. Number 2, Jayden Daniels is a pure threat to run. So that in itself makes him a threat. I mean, he's going to be even better in the pass game because people have to kind of stall for a moment to make sure if he's going to run or pass. They don't know which one he's going to do. So that helps him out. Number 3, Jerry, are you listening? Run game. Run game. I know we may not realize it, but do y'all know the Washington Commanders actually have a run game? They have a run game. Now, let's take out Jayden Daniels, and I'm going to read some more of your comments. Let's take out Jayden Daniels. He was 16 for 51. That was already back-breaking stuff for the Detroit Lions. It was like they just couldn't hardly stop Jayden Daniels. Watch this next part, though. Robinson, 15 for 77 and 2 touchdowns. 15 for 77, 2 touchdowns, 5.1 yards per carry. Detroit had no answer. Jayden Daniels is already hurting them. Where was the answer for Robinson? You know who else killed him? Eckler. Killed him. He was 6 for 47, 7.8 yards per carry, 35 yards was his longest. He killed him. He killed them. They had Nichols, 4 for 8. I told y'all before, you don't run the ball to have a dominant run game. You run the ball to dominate the game. Because you're gonna crack that wall eventually. All you have to do is keep on running, and you're gonna crack that wall. Look at Eckler. So you look at all the 3 of the running backs, just the running backs, 25 carries. That's exactly what you want. You want 25 pass plays if you can, 25 to 30 run plays. They got them. But you want to add insult to injury? And then when you put Jayden Daniels on there, they literally ran the doggone ball 41 times. You're going to beat a lot of teams like that. You're going to beat a lot of teams like that. Straight up. You're going to beat a lot of teams like that. Look at how they spread the ball around. Everybody talks about McLaurin, and McLaurin was making some spectacular spectacular plays. But this dude Brown, he killed it. He was 6 for 98. He killed it. He did. He killed it. 6 for 98. McLaughlin, 4 for 87. 1 touchdown. Yards after the catch, both of them, 81, 33. Eckler, look at this. You don't think the running backs they got are any good? Eckler was in the passing game, 4 for 41, 54 yards. Zach Ertz, 5 for 5, 28 yards. Jay Crowder, 2 for 25. I mean, I'm telling us, I hope Jerry is looking at all of this. Dan Quinn ran up in Washington and built a team in a season. He built a team in a season. One season. Now, it is one season. They're riding on this wave right now. Hey, keep riding it. We're going to see how it's going to turn out. Now, I'm telling you right now, I told y'all this yesterday. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles right now, I am going out against the Rams tomorrow, and I'm going to put up 28 points on them in the first half. I'm going bonkers on the Eagles because if I'm the Eagles, this is my Super Bowl to lose. This is my Super Bowl to lose because guess what? Commanders are not as good as the Eagles. They're not. And I'm trying to tell y'all might not realize this. Y'all remember what happened to our own team last year in the playoffs? Y'all know what happened to us, don't you? No one wants to admit it. The Green Bay Packers were better than us at that moment, at that time. They were better than us. And it was a bad matchup. We couldn't stop the ball. We couldn't stop the run, and we couldn't run the ball. We couldn't stop the run, and we couldn't run the ball. Guess what the Green Bay Packers could do? Run the ball. Stop the run. Lock down CeeDee Lamb. What does the Cowboys have left? Nothing. They have nothing. We were playing linebackers at safety, and there was nothing we could do. Bad matchup. Guess who was a bad matchup today for the Detroit Lions? The Washington Commanders. Jayden Daniels is exactly what you don't want to see. He's exactly what you don't want to see with a decimated defense. You don't want to see Jayden Daniels. You don't want to see Jayden Daniels. He is a problem for your defense because in order to stop Jayden Daniels, you must have a disciplined defense. And if your defense isn't disciplined, Jayden Daniels will destroy you. He'll destroy you. There was a play towards the end when Zero was supposed to be on the end. I do not understand it. Jayden Daniels didn't even do that great of a play fake. Play faked it to the running back and then just casually ran right outside the numbers and got the first down. Zero, you're supposed to set the edge. You should be watching Jayden Daniels. You shouldn't be watching the running back. Undisciplined. Playing with players that really were not starters. You can't do that stuff in the playoffs. You can do that in the regular season. You're not doing that. You're not winning with that in the playoffs. That's what happened to us. We ran into a bad matchup. And we got beat by a team that everyone thought, well, we're going to beat that team and move on. How much you bet Detroit thought they were going to beat the Washington Commanders? I don't think Dan Campbell went in there sleeping. I think Jared Goff betrayed him with those 3 turnovers. It was just 3 too many. And their defense on top of that being decimated. Then if that defense was still there, I wouldn't even worried about 3 turnovers because I think they would have been able to I think they would have been able to hold the Washington Commanders. And I'm going to tell y'all something. You better give Dan Quinn credit again. And then I'm going to read some of your comments. Let me tell y'all what a strategist Dan Quinn is. Dan Quinn wanted that 6 seed bad. Dan Quinn saw the path and realized, y'all might not realize it, but I think Dan realized, the best team in the NFC, when you look at health-wise and everything they can do, y'all do realize the best team in the NFC is and was the Philadelphia Eagles. The Washington Commanders are not the best team in the NFC. Even if they win, they're not the best team. As in, if you look at health and talent. Now, team and chemistry, those are two different things, how they're playing. But if you look at just talent, it's the Eagles to lose. All of these games, the next 2 games, if the Eagles lose, it's an utter failure because they're literally, the most healthiest team? They were way more healthier than Detroit. They're the healthiest team and they have the most talent. They have the most talent. I'll take the wide receivers for the Eagles over the Commanders. I'll take the offensive line of the Eagles over the Commanders. I'll take Saquon Barkley. I'll take the running back over the Commanders. Jalen Hurts, and because of the way the Eagles are constructed, I'll take Jalen Hurts even over Jaden Daniels. And the reason why I'm telling y'all this is it's this simple. Watch what I tell you the second time around. The second time around, watch what I tell you. The same thing I'm telling you about the Rams. They're going to look different tomorrow against the Eagles. They're not going up against the Vikings. They're going up against the number 1 defense in football. They're going to look different. Period. In the story. It's about matchups. They'll look different tomorrow. Everybody's expecting him. Oh, Jalen Hurts is going to be in trouble. No, he's not. Because he's probably not going to throw the ball 20 times. How many opportunities do you get to sack a man who don't throw the ball, but maybe 17, 18, 20 times max? How many opportunities will you get to sack him? Number 2, what answer do the Rams have for that running game? I don't think there's many teams that do have an answer for the running game of the Eagles. I just don't think there's many teams that have an answer. It is the Eagles. The Eagles right now should be fired up. It's their Super Bowl to lose. It is. It's their Super Bowl to lose. It is. Ice cold. Vikings upset, Lions upset. Next is the Shigles. Not happening. I promise you it's not happening. It is not happening. The Eagles are going to smash the Rams tomorrow. They're better than them. The Commanders, the Detroit Lions were better than the Commanders at the beginning of the season. But the Detroit Lions have actually limped. They limped into the playoffs. Not because of their offense, their defense. It's not like that Jared Goff hasn't turned the ball over before this season. Jared Goff has turned the ball over before. No problem. The defense was able to hold him down. Couldn't hold him down this time. They were decimated. It's not happening. Jalen Hurts don't throw the ball enough to take those kind of risks. It's not happening. The Eagles are built to win championships. I'm trying to tell y'all, there are 2 things that travel well: defense and running games. And they got both of them. And they will not look the same. I'm telling y'all, they will not look the same against the Eagles tomorrow. The Washington Commanders are playing with house money right now. No one thought they'd be here. But eventually the dream ends. I'm telling you. The Eagles have entered into a new mode. I know if it's me, I've entered into a new mode. You telling me the Detroit Lions went down. I'm going to the Super Bowl. That's my thought process. I'm going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to smash the Rams. I'm going to smash them. I'm going to put them out of their misery so quick, the game will be over by the 3rd quarter. I'm going to smash on them. And then I'm going to come out and I'm going to smash on the Washington Commanders. I'm telling you, this game is going to be incredible next week. It is. It'll be the Eagles and I want it to be the Eagles and the Commanders. I want it to be them because I want Jerry Jones to watch Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn go against each other when he had both of those people on his staff and he chose Mike McCarthy over both of them. I want him to see it. Yeah, Buddha, they love to hate Dak. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And I'm telling you, this is part of the stuff that I'm telling you even Dan Campbell was tired of, some of the fan base. Ryan R. says, Lions damn near fooled everyone with the meltdown. Daniels is the future and plays like a veteran. Right now he does. Yep. Ryan, right now he does. But Ryan, you've been alive long enough. You've been alive long enough. How many of these quarterbacks come in just like this? Many of them come in, especially lately. We've been spoiled by this stuff. We have been watching year after year after year, whether we realize it or not. We have watched year after year immediate success by some of these quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks. They come in with immediate success, and everybody goes, oh, man, they're the future. They're going to blow this. Nope. Nope. Y'all do realize I keep telling y'all we've seen this before. We've seen this before. Dak Prescott, C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow. We've seen this stuff. We've seen it. Only for them to come back to earth. Because this league is very smart. Jane Daniels is going to be great. He is great. He's not going to be great. He is great. But once this league gets tape on you, you look different. You look different once they get tape on you. And all it takes is one team to stop you. Once one team stops you, everybody looks at what they did. And they stop you too. Wait till they get tape on them. Enjoy it. Ride the wave, Jaden Daniels. You're talented, bro. You're extremely talented. Ride the wave. Alex, appreciate that super chat. After seeing what the Commanders did today, Jerry better open his eyes. Cowboys are now the NFC team with the longest NFC championship drought. Shaking my head. And yeah. But Alex, even worse. He's watching two people from his staff on both of those teams that he chose Mike McCarthy over them. He let Mike McCarthy push out Kellen Moore, and I keep trying to help people to understand, Alex. We actually pushed Kellen Moore out the door after 2 12-win seasons as the OC. Everybody's talking about, well, his play calling is not that good. So explain to me again. Explain to me again how him and Dak Prescott put up video game numbers and nobody was better in the time frame other than Patrick Mahomes. More wins, and we don't even give Kellen Moore credit. He went to the divisional round, beat the brakes off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, went to the divisional round. Only to get nudged out of the position, and we got the rest of the story. Now, Bobby Belt made it plain. He left because he got tired of one Mike McCarthy. And even Dan Quinn will question, should he leave Mike McCarthy? But we let him walk. Look at him now. And I told y'all, I believe Jerry was trying to keep Dan on this. I think he was trying to keep him on staff until McCarthy's contract got to the end. So if something went haywire, well, he could just let Dan Quinn be the head coach, but he couldn't do it. And I think he really ticked Dan Quinn off by not getting him Bobby Wagner. And Dan Quinn said, it's enough. I'm not going to stay around for this stuff. Jerry, now, Alex, he gets to watch two people. And now he's on notice. Now he's on notice. Jerry, Dak Prescott being the best quarterback in the NFC is no longer going to be good enough. It's not good enough. If you don't put weapons around your quarterback, Jerry, I don't care who he is. If you don't put weapons around him, he ain't winning. If you don't put a defense on the other side of him, he ain't winning. So them days of, well, we paid him this amount of money, he ought to be winning, those days are over. Those days are over. Nobody's subscribing to that. Not even Jayden Daniels, not even Dan Quinn and Jayden Daniels. They're not subscribing to that. They got a team. Dan Quinn has built a team, whether anybody accepts it or not. Dan Quinn has built a team. And the scary part for the NFC, Dan Quinn hasn't even built he's built a great culture. He's not done with talent. Dan isn't done with talent. They got Jayden Daniels on a rookie deal. They're not done with talent. They're going to put a couple of more pieces around Jayden Daniels, and the Washington Commanders are going to be doggone hard to deal with. They're going to be hard to deal with. They will be hard to deal with a couple of more pieces. They're going to be hard to deal with. So Jerry better go in this draft. He better go in free agency. And most importantly, more important than those, at least in my estimation, the right coach matters. If Jerry don't bring in the right coach, none of this is going to matter. Jerry better bring in a coach that can literally galvanize the team. Now, Alex, I just put out a video. It's been going pretty good today. It's about 10, 11,000 views and counting. About what Shady McCoy, Jared, I don't know if you saw the video. Shady McCoy actually admitted for the first time. I've never heard him admit it. But I'm telling y'all, it's the Deion Sanders effect. Shady McCoy, for the first time, he admitted not only was Dak Prescott a good quarterback, he admitted, Dak Prescott's talented. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he said that Dak Prescott was not only good, but he was talented. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And he was saying that he believes that Dak Prescott, that Deion Sanders can even bring the dog out of Dak Prescott. And so Jerry better get on top of this. He better get on top of this. And I am so glad the vested interest is even higher now. Guess what? No matter how you slice it, a team from the NFC East is going to be in the Super Bowl. Y'all, we in two different places with this. I'm glad. I want Jerry to see two people he had on the staff. One of the two of them are going to the Super Bowl. There's no getting around it. And as much as I believe that the Eagles will smash on both the Rams and the Commanders, and I think it's going to be the Eagles, it will not shock me. It will not shock me if it's the Commanders, because not of Jayden Daniels, but because of the culture and the team that Dan Quinn has built. Dan Quinn built a team. He did. He built a team and a culture. He built a winning culture in a short amount of time. Hands down, Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year. I said it once, I'll say it again. He's Coach of the Year. It ain't even close no more. He is Coach of the Year. And I bet you this, I bet you Jerry Jones was right now in the room crying somewhere. I bet you now, hindsight is 2020, and Jerry said he don't deal in this a lot, but I bet you this, Jerry Jones is looking back right now and wishing, man, I wish I would have went over ahead and went with an inclination I had to make Dan Quinn the coach. Jason Lewis, twice. Dallas had their head coach on staff and let them go. Sean Payton and Dan Quinn. Telling you, Jason, dead on. Azteca, Commanders versus Rams, NFC Championship game. It's so obvious. The Fires in LA, Commanders' last NFC Championship appearance in 1991. Come on. You know why I don't subscribe to that Azteca? There was a better story, or one equally as good. The Detroit Lions, it would have been their first Super Bowl. Man, there are not a lot of times that I feel sorry for teams. I felt sorry for the Detroit Lions. I did. I felt sorry for them. You are one of the best teams in the league, hands down. But I told y'all this. Y'all might not remember when I said it. I said Dan Campbell was going to live to regret the day that he allowed Hutchinson to stay in the game against the Dallas Cowboys when they were smacking the Dallas Cowboys, beating the brakes off the Cowboys. And you still had all the starters in. And Hutchinson snapped that leg. I said, he's going to live to regret this. What do you think they look like tonight with Hutchinson on the field? I'm telling you, I felt so sorry for him. I did. I felt so sorry for him. 9:16. We need some prime time. Ice cold Cowboy. I keep spelling this out for people. I think he's the only one that can make Jerry do anything different. I don't care who Jerry brings in. If they're first-time head coaches, Jerry can do pretty much whatever he wants to do. They have no credentials other than Jerry, this is your first head coaching job. They're going to have to do some go along to get along stuff. There is one person, though. Everyone else can talk a game. Aaron Glenn, he can talk a game. Ben Johnson, he can talk a game. Cliff Kingsbury, he can talk a game. Leslie Frazier, he can talk a game. Kellen Moore, he can talk a game. You can name me any of the coaches that the Cowboys could be looking at. Pete Carroll, he can talk a game. He can probably talk a little bit more than a game. But there is one person, unequivocally, he has won Super Bowls. It's Deion Sanders. It's Deion Sanders. And of all those players I mentioned, they all talk about what they're going to do. We know Deion's a motivator of men. Any room Deion Sanders walks into, no one says he's the smartest man in the room. No one says he's the smartest man in the room. But people gravitate to him because he makes everyone around him better. He does. And Deion come to Dallas, Jerry knows what it means. I'm telling y'all, he knows what it means. He's going to have to do something different. Wilson Santiago, yeah, you're right. I'm hopeful on Jerry. I'm hoping what we see will make him change. I hope what we see will make him change. The Rams aren't beating the Eagles. What are you smoking? They're beating the Eagles. Oh, wait. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm on the other side. Yeah, the Eagles are going to beat the Rams. The Eagles are going to beat the Rams. The Rams. Y'all going to see what I'm telling you. See, y'all keep talking about Saquon Barkley. The Eagles, that in itself is going to fire up the Eagles defense. Folk do not understand. No, that Eagles defense is the number one defense in football. Team's going to look different. They're going to look different against them, especially when it's a one and done. They're going to look different. The Rams will look different. I promise you, they're going to look different tomorrow. And everybody's going to be disappointed. They're going to look different. The game of the weekend is actually going to be the Bills and the Ravens. Never underestimate Jerry's power to F something up. He's going to have to do something different this time. He is. Because if not, there'll be no more winning. There'll be no more winning. The NFC. Jerry had room for error in the last 4 years. And let us not misconstrue this. This is not unusual. When you get dominant teams in a division, the NFC East is known for consistently being the toughest division in football. They would literally beat up each other and then beat up other teams. It's getting back to that point. But it's not unusual. The New England Patriots, for a long time, their division was terrible. That was one of the reasons why they were guaranteed the AFC Championship game almost every season. Their division was terrible. It happens all the time. Sometimes you just be the most dominant team in the division and no one else is any good. You think about The Bills are kind of going through that phase. Your division is just not that good. It doesn't mean you're not good, but your division is not that good and you dominate the division. But the Cowboys now, man, y'all need to understand. You think about this. We're literally about 4 years from the Cowboys starting a brand new era. There will be a new quarterback in Dallas, if not in 4, at the latest 5. There will be a new quarterback in Dallas. And I say that. I mean, Dak Prescott's contract, the way it's constructed, who knows? They build a good team around Dak. They start smashing on people in the next 3 years. They'll rework that contract, and Dak will be an additional 2. Dak could be here till he's 36. But within the next 5 to 6 years, there is going to be another quarterback here. And we're going to enter a brand new era. And so Jerry is not just dealing with what he's dealing with now, but he's dealing with the next era too. He is. Tony Brown, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Preach. Yes, sir. Playmaker. They questioned his comments on the Mickey Spagnola podcast and Mike Fisher. I don't really listen to Spagnola. I don't really listen to Spag no more. But Fisher verified. Fisher didn't say anything about nothing Bobby Belt said. He verified it. He said it was a great piece. Now, I want to mention this. For all of you people who know something about the Bible, let me just mention this. I'm not going to preach a sermon. I'm just going to mention this to you. One of the things I like as a preacher are the Gospels. The Gospels are 4 different accounts of the life of Jesus. 3 of them are what we call the synoptic Gospels, as in they see alike, meaning that a lot of the things in them are the same. And then the outlier is the Gospel of John. And the point I want to make and make it applicable to what we're talking about, God allowed 4 different stories, 4 different Gospels to be recorded about Jesus so we could get a full picture. And I think the part that people don't like to accept when it comes to people like James Slater, Mike Fisher, Bobby Belt, you can throw Steve Spagnola in there. They're all telling the same story, but from a different perspective. And while some of the stories might see alike, some of them might not see alike, but it don't mean that that part of the story isn't true. And Bobby Belt. So you say that he comes out. So why are people not coming out in groves? Even Mike Fisher has changed his language. I had never heard Mike Fisher say Mike McCarthy pushed out. I'd never heard him say Mike McCarthy pushed out Kellen Moore until Bobby Belt mentioned it. And then his language changed. All of a sudden now he's saying, yeah, he got nudged out by Mike McCarthy. The Amari Cooper story. Man, you can't tell me that story doesn't make sense, because no one could make sense of it. They couldn't. No one could make sense of the Amari Cooper story. Nobody. Everybody was speculating on why Amari Cooper got let go. And isn't it strange? Finally, why does Bobby Belt wait until Mike McCarthy is gone? Because he did it. Because Mike McCarthy did it. He wanted Amari Cooper gone. And let me tell you something. I've worked in the corporate world before. When somebody wants you gone, they will find reasons. They don't have to make them up necessarily. They'll find reasons. They'll find something. Yeah, hey, I want you to get rid of so-and-so. But you can't do it in a way to where it's obvious. So what I want you to do, you make sure you document every time they're late. You document whenever they fall short on whatever they're doing, something that no one else can be written up for. You make sure you document that stuff. Anybody who's worked in the corporate world know how this stuff goes. We can get rid of anybody we want to, whether fair or not. And we can get rid of them with the wrong motive, but then we'll go through quote unquote proper channels because we want to create the paper trail so that when we bring our argument, it's not the real argument. The real argument is, I don't like this joker. That's the real argument. I don't like this joker. But I can't just get rid of him because I don't like this joker. No, I got to create the paper trail. It was the dumbest thing, one of the dumbest things we did to get rid of Amari Cooper. And I want you to think about this. So in both of these instances, I don't believe Jerry wanted to get rid of Kellen Moore. This is why everybody is afraid that Jerry's going to hire Kellen Moore, because Jerry did not want to get rid of Kellen Moore. But Mike McCarthy is a shrewd operator and blamed it on Kellen Moore, the reason why they lost to Tampa Bay. You no good joker, you. We're actually giving Mike McCarthy the credit for the playoff game that Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott orchestrated. Oh, but then we gave Kellen Moore the credit for the loss that fell on the whole team, but we're still going to blame that on Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott, and Mike McCarthy gets to walk away scot-free and say, well, I want to run the ball. Okay. Y'all don't find it to be strange? I was telling my wife about this, and I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all don't find this to be strange? Mike McCarthy runs Amari Cooper out of town. Y'all don't find it to be strange that it seemed like Jerry would never give him another wide receiver? No one finds this to be strange. It's almost like Jerry was telling Mike without saying, like, okay, you want to push out Amari Cooper. Okay, well, all you're getting is CeeDee Lamb. I'll get you somebody in the draft, but I'm not getting them in the first or the second. All you're going to have is CeeDee Lamb. Okay, I'll get you Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks was not CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Cooks was not Amari Cooper. Brandon Cooks was not close to Amari Cooper. It's almost like Jerry said, okay, for everything that you want, then you better make good on it. He got rid of Kellen Moore, gave him the play calling. Y'all don't think Jerry was furious at the fact he ran Amari Cooper out of town, pushed Kellen Moore out the door, got the play calling that the Cowboys obviously never wanted him to have, because if they wanted him to have it, they would have gave it to him in the beginning. He seized the play calling and he didn't succeed. I'm telling you, strange. Ice cold, he'll bring up top players because they'll want to play for him. Yep. Talking about Deion Sanders? Yep. They'll want to play with him. And not only that, I'm telling y'all, Deion Sanders will bring the absolute best Dak Prescott out that we've ever seen. James Jones said it best. You can't motivate Dak to win in the regular season no more. He's been there, done that. For everybody who says Kellen Moore was terrible, for everybody who said Mike McCarthy is terrible, for everybody who says the play calling is this and that, it's strange to me. Dak Prescott wrecked the league under all those play callers. Wrecked the league. But we poo-poo it. Oh, no, those are padded stats. Hogwash. Pure hogwash. Dak was not padding stats in losing games. Dak Prescott was putting up numbers against teams when they were winning. You're not losing putting up 40 and 50 points. This team fell off 5 points per game when Kellen Moore walked out the door. It's crazy to me how people talk about Dak Prescott when everyone who's been with him has won games. James Jones said it best. Dak Prescott, the regular season is nothing to him no more. Dak Prescott can run through a regular season with his eyes closed and get 10, 11, 12 wins, eyes closed. The issue for Dak is now we got to put a team around him like all these other teams are doing. Put a team around your quarterback and don't try to beat the teams with your quarterback. Beat the teams with your team. Run the ball, throw the ball, get turnovers, sack the quarterback. Win time of possession, dominate both lines of scrimmage. Do that and you can win a lot of ball games. You can win a lot of ball games. But if you're going to keep trying to put it on the quarterback, you're losing. You're going to lose. You're going to lose the big games. He said Jerry Lacula has vampire blood. Boy, you got all the sayings. Let me go down some more. Real Daryl says at some point the players have to get themselves ready as a team and execute. Real Daryl, they are to blame too, and I'm with you. No one can force that on the players. I'm with you. Listen to the Washington Commanders. Just listen to them talk. Dan Quinn said something tonight before the game. I don't remember the second quote, but it's the first quote that he made that got my blood boiling. If I was a player for Dan Quinn, I would have went out there tonight, or now yesterday, but tonight. Boy, I'd have went out there tonight and balled out. Dan Quinn said, I told my players, be you. I don't know. Y'all might not be hearing that the way I am. That's heavy, man. That's heavy. When a coach tells you to be you, he's telling you he trusts you. He's telling you he trusts you. He's telling you he knows you can get the job done. He knows what's in you. He knows what you're made of. He is saying something. And maybe I'm hearing this different. But when somebody says, when I'm going into a game like this against the number 1 seed, and my coach says to me, be you. He just told me, you're good enough. You're good enough to do that. This is the kind of stuff that Deion Sanders would be putting in Dak Prescott's head. And with Deion Sanders being such a large figure, there won't be so much pressure on Dak Prescott. The pressure will not be on Dak Prescott if Deion comes to town, the pressure falls on Deion. Because now everybody's going to say, Deion, you're here. We expect you to win. It'll bring the best out of him. It will. Real Daryl, say it again. Washington is being ran like a football franchise while Dallas is being ran like a Walmart. It's true. This is our problem. It is. And it's going to be harder and harder for us to beat teams. These teams, the NFC East, they're building teams. We're building brands. We got to get out of the brand building business and start getting into the team building business. He was awful. He's not the only reason why they lost Zartad. He's not the only reason. Yeah, you're right. But he wasn't the main reason. Yeah. And I will say, I'll say it the other way. I think he was the main reason. I think they were playing defensively good enough. If we're talking about we can keep the game close, 28-28 or 27-24, I think they were playing good enough. But those ill-advised turnovers by Jared Goff in that first half, man, it is hard. It is hard. Troy Aikman did that in the 94 season. I think it was the divisional round, maybe against San Francisco 49ers. Man, it is hard to throw 3 interceptions or turn the ball over 3 times in the first half, and then you wind up down, 31-21. Man, it is hard to come back from that. Especially when the Washington Commanders, they're not playing to lose, they're playing to win. They were playing, if you're playing not to lose, you say, hey, it's 4th down. Punt it or kick the field goal. We're playing not to lose. When you're playing to win, go for it on 4th down. We're either going to win it here or we're not. When Washington is playing like that, they're playing like a shark who smells blood in the water. They knew Detroit's defense wasn't what it is no more. And they took advantage of it. They did. Now, I don't blame the defense. It's not the same defense. They couldn't handle those turnovers. They're mainly all backups. That's not a knock on them. You could not turn the ball over with that many backups out there. You couldn't. It was they couldn't overcome it. It took 35 years. You know what else, playmaker? It took Dan Quinn. It took Dan Quinn. And now, I see why Michael Parsons was maybe talking about Dan Quinn the way that he was. I see why now. I see why, because Dan Quinn, you think about how the team has been ran, even with Mike McCarthy. The Cowboys, to me, aren't ran like a team. This is one of the reasons for me, I really wish if Jerry, I think Ben Johnson creates a problem for this team. I think Kellen Moore creates a problem for this team. I think any coach that comes in here and he's the coordinator and a head coach, I believe he creates a problem for this team that we need to get away from. When Mike McCarthy was here, you could tell. Mike McCarthy was the head coach, but he was really the head coach of the offense. And this is why he was fighting Kellen Moore so hard, because he could not deal with the responsibility of being the head coach over the team. He couldn't deal with that. And especially once they got Dan Quinn in and how much of a dominant personality Dan Quinn has. So he couldn't be the head coach of the offense with Kellen Moore, because Kellen Moore was actually, people get mad if they want to, but Kellen Moore was actually the head coach of the offense. So he got to get him out of the way so he can be the head coach of the offense and Dan Quinn can be the head coach of the defense. I would rather have an OC and a DC so I can be the coach of the team, so I can oversee the team. I don't want, because if I got to be the OC, how much time can I actually spend with the defense? Or do I just entrust my DC to the defense and never even talk to them, game plans, anything with players? The Cowboys need to get back to a system like they had with Jimmy. Jimmy was able to build a team because Jimmy was the head coach over everything, and everybody was accountable to Jimmy. Not just the offense, not just the defense, but everybody. This is also one of the situations they would be in if they got Deion Sanders. They would. They would be in that very thing. Azteca, it was them three in the first half that buried him. Those three in the first half buried him, man. They did. Buried them. Buried them. Yes, sir, Buddha. Hit that like button for sure. And if you hadn't subscribed, please do if you haven't. Kevin Bryan, I'm with you. This should make Jerry Jones stew. This is why I'm so glad. I'm glad it's Philly. I mean, I'm hoping tomorrow Philly smash on the Rams, which I think they will. I want it to be Philly. I want it to be Philly and Washington. So Jerry understands exactly what he's up against. The NFC East is back. And if you don't put a team around Dak Prescott, you're going to see more of the same of what you saw this year. More of the same. It'll be no more 12-win seasons. It says, but shows how even if rich, you can still be dumb and stubborn. Yes, sir. This should keep Jerry up tonight. I know I'm pissed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm with you. I am with you. Playmaker. I like how everyone defends Goff, Herbert, and Darnold playoff performance, but if it's Dak, everything is his fault. They would have destroyed Jared Goff tonight, playmaker. They would have destroyed Dak Prescott tonight. The news cycles would be going crazy if Dak Prescott had the performance that Jared Goff had tonight. The news cycles would be going bonkers. They would. But because it's Jared Goff. Because it's Jared Goff. He's going to get every excuse. But as much as I've mentioned about their defense, it wasn't the defense's fault, as in Aaron Glenn. I believe the defense played good enough if you're telling me they're playing without turnovers. The defense was not good enough for turnovers because the offense was good enough that they could have kept going blow for blow with the Washington Commanders. But as the game gets more out of control, you can see where the Detroit Lions' disposition begins to fall, and it's pretty much a wrap after that. Freddie, what's going on? Pump the brakes on Jared Goff. Dak can do the same thing if you give him a good team like the Lions. Jared Goff is not better than Dak Prescott. And as a matter of fact, Kevin Howard, I don't want Dak Prescott to do what Jared did. Jared was terrible, man. Jared was terrible. He was terrible. Freddie, what's going on? Dak would have ate with that team that Jared Goff had. He'd ate with that team. Stroud was sacked 8 times. You're not winning like that. Yep, you're not winning like that. You're not. 31 points is enough to win games, but giving up 45 punts to the opposing team is unacceptable. Which game are we talking about? We're talking about the Commanders game. I don't remember 31 unless I missed that part. The issue was, Daniel M. Again, because I think we're behind in the chat. Again, I think the Detroit Lions defense could have maintained a game of no turnovers. But because they're decimated on defense, they're done with turnovers. They're done with turnovers. It's over. Mike said, did Goff have a concussion? I don't think so, but maybe he did. It was a really bad hit on him. Oh, man. Yes, 70s fan. That stupid gadget play when they were down by 10. If you're talking about the one with the running back, when are they going to tell these guys, don't throw the ball if the person is not open? Terrible. Alan Carpenter, defense like trash. Yeah, it wasn't the same defense from the beginning of the season. And that's why that defense couldn't deal it. That defense, you could not turn the ball over and they win. There was no way. There was no way. Campbell's Chunky Soup. Man, you got all the names. Boy, I bet that joke is crying tonight. I agree with the comment about Dan Campbell, even though I think that Dan Campbell is overrated. Dan's got a great staff and a great team around him. And when you got great teams, great staff around you, Zartad, hey, man, you walk different when you got great, when you got a great organization, man, you walk different. I mean, look at Dan Quinn. Man, Dan Quinn look different he looks different, man. Dan Quinn right now, I remember how he looked with the Atlanta Falcons. Dan Quinn looks way more relaxed, way more confident. Dan Quinn looks like a different man. He does. He really does. Mark Holmes was super pissed. Man, I don't know, man. And it's what like I explained, all of the Cowboy content creators, man, I think we're all telling the same story from a different perspective. I'm just different with this stuff. I know who the Cowboys are right now. So I'm not, my expectations are different. And when I'm watching the success of the Commanders and the Eagles, it don't bother me. I'm glad. Jerry needs to see this so he don't sleep tonight. And I'm telling y'all, I hope the Eagles win. Because if the Eagles win, Jerry has to watch Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm telling you. Yes, sir, Tony Brown. Props to Dan Quinn. Yes, sir. Can't hate on him. It is what it is. Derek Quinn, ice cream comes for everybody. Robert Dudley, what's going on? He said Lions turnovers. Yep. Wash, flush, Jared Goff his spot. Comments rattled. He said number 16 chains. Lions defense really injured. Yep. Is it? It's a battle of attrition. I don't care how good your team is at the beginning. What matters is how healthy is your team at the end. If you could take a good team healthy into the playoffs, you're going to win some ball games. If you take a good team injured into the playoffs, the moment you meet a good team or a team better than you, you're done. You think about the Kansas City Chiefs. How injured are they? They took a lot of their bruises at the beginning. Even though the refs seem to be helping them. But in particular, think about the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans had two main pieces injured, missing. It is. Alan Carpenter, keep Aaron Glenn. He didn't have the players. I think Aaron Glenn's going to be okay. But unfortunately, though, Alan Carpenter, what you're saying is probably going to be what people are going to be thinking. So, and the other question is, and I think less so with Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson called a pretty good game up until he called that dumb quarterback pass. I said, this is Ben Johnson. I said, this right here is Ben Johnson trying to be too big, trying to be the smartest guy in the room. I didn't like that play right there, but he looks pretty good for the most part. MG, Jaden is way better than Dak. No, he's not. Walto, better coach and better team. End of story. Walto, I said this before. You hit it right on the head. The players take on the mentality of their coaches. And this is why, as they were talking on Speak for Yourself, y'all think about how much of a dog Dak was when he came in as a rookie. Ran up on Dez Bryant, grabbed him by the shoulder pads, tell him I throw it to you when you open. Then he gets around Jason Garrett, who's all buttoned up. Then you're hearing Dak Prescott at the press conference talking about trusting the process. That's Jason Garrett. Then we get Mike McCarthy coming in here. And then you start hearing Dak Prescott even started sounding like Mike McCarthy in some instances. Even though I thought this last season, Dak started bucking some of the things that Mike McCarthy was saying. But the team's mentality is even like Mike McCarthy. And this was one of the reasons when I saw that, also, I was ready for Mike to leave. I was ready for Mike to leave. I mean, the mentality of his teams is terrible. Tony is bigger than Dak. This is the part people do not get. This is not about Dak. You can put Dak anywhere you want to. But Dak has won with all three of these guys. Mike, Jason, Kellen Moore. He's put up video game numbers. The only seasons people do not understand how incredible this man's career has been. When you look at Dak Prescott, the bad seasons are the hurt seasons. When Dak is healthy, book it. You're going to win 12 or 11 games. Book it. Book it. If Dak Prescott is healthy, you're winning 12 games. You're winning 12 games. Dak won 13 rookie season, 3 12-win seasons in a row with Mike McCarthy. Dak Prescott, by all metrics, is a winner, including the playoffs. He hasn't lost every playoff game. He has 2 playoff wins. It is what it is. He's won 2 playoff games, and not every one of those playoff game losses can be blamed on Dak. I think in particular what everyone tends to look at is the San Francisco ones. But the days, I'm telling y'all, we're watching a trend in this NFL, and I love it. The days of the quarterback being the sole reason teams are winning is going out the window. And I absolutely love it. Get back to building teams to where you put players around your quarterback. You put players on your defense, and y'all win as a team. And stop trying to make the quarterback into Superman. And I don't think they tried to do that tonight, y'all, with Jared Goff. I don't think they tried to do that with Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff just made some critical mistakes. Yes, Michelle, this has nothing to do with Dak. That's it. And you think about this. Again, people always throw these words around like elite. What's going on, Purple Soul? So if he isn't, who is? Not many people can wear that title. Not many people can wear that title. But at the same time, this is the very reason why this franchise, if this franchise thinks like some of its fans, and my issue is, Walt, so you mentioned that the team becomes a reflection of the coach. Well, Walt, so I've mentioned this before. My fear is the fan base has become a reflection of the owner. Because we say some of the same dumb stuff the owner says. This team only goes as far as Dak takes us. You're right. Because you won't do anything in free agency. You won't do anything at the trade deadline. The last 3 draft years have been more of developmental things more than immediate impact things. So you're right, Jerry, with the way you do things. If Dak isn't Superman on a Sunday, Thursday, or a Monday, well, the team is losing. And if that's how you're going to run your team, then you're stupid. Because Jimmy didn't run his team like that. Jimmy did not run the 90s Cowboys to where the team was predicated on Troy Aikman. Team wasn't predicated on Troy Aikman. The team was predicated on that offensive line and running the doggone ball. And Troy Aikman ate off of play action. Again, I'm not doing this tonight. Go look at Troy Aikman's numbers. Just go look at them. Troy Aikman's numbers will literally blow your mind. They didn't ask Troy Aikman to be Superman a lot. No, the running game was what they were built on. They ran over teams and they mollywopped them. And Troy Aikman ate off the play action. Ate off the play action. They dominated teams with the run. They dominated them. They controlled both lines of scrimmage. Top 10 defenses in those Super Bowl years. Top 10 defenses. People don't talk about this enough. I'm telling us, all us older people, we didn't talk like this. We didn't talk like this. And this is actually, it's not how you really talk about teams. And the problem with us is we don't build teams. Zartad. Hey, I'm with you. Those doggone Eagles are going to smash the Rams. They're going to smash them. They are. The 70s fan, well, that 12th man on the field penalty gave the Commanders a fresh set of downs. Woo, man. Yes, it did. But that goes to show you, though. Their defense was discombobulated. They're just not the same defense. They're not. They're just not the same defense. Yeah, they're not the same defense. Let me go down a little further in you guys' comments. Yeah, they're not the same defense is the problem. What is going on, Nisi? In the crib this late at night? Nisi said, OMG, can Dak relax and heal? Yes, he is. Dak is sleeping on $231 million, Nisi. He says, when are we going to realize that the Cowboys front office needs to allow the coaches to run the team and put a team together? Dan Quinn is showing us what that looks like. Dan Quinn is showing us what that looks like. Let me go to the other side of this ball in Detroit, and then I'm going to come back in the comments. I want y'all to look at this thing. I'm telling y'all about these pass plays with these quarterbacks. Right here. This is, if you showed me this stat line, even minus the interceptions, but the interceptions are actually probably going to go with a stat line like this. The moment you told me Jared Goff threw the ball 40 times, I'm like, yep, they were in trouble. They probably lost the game. 23 or 40. You do not want, and especially Jared Goff, you do not want Jared Goff throwing the ball 40 times. Not if you want to win. You do not want Jared Goff throwing the ball 40 times. Not only did he throw it 40 times, he threw 3 interceptions. And that was absolutely terrible. I think Ben Johnson, with the way their defense was. Now, Ben Johnson has been putting up these video game numbers all year long. And I think sometimes we have to be careful. We start putting these coaches on display and people want to interview them and things of that nature. Right here. This is where they should have stayed, right there. If I would have been Detroit, I would have ground and pounded the Washington Commanders. Did they really have an answer for Gibbs? He was 14 for 105, 7.5 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, 33 was his longest. Do we realize this dude was absolutely running the ball? Montgomery, 7 for 28, 4 yards per carry, 11 yards was his longest. This right here to me is what they should have went to after Jared Goff threw the first interception. Ground and pound. Win the time of possession game. This is not a game because we're seeing, hey, Jaden Daniels is giving us problems. Our defense isn't up to snuff to deal with this dude tonight. Hey, run the ball, man. Run the ball. They only ran the ball 21 times. So you let him throw it 40 times, and you ran it 21 times. 22 with Jay Williams, and then Jared Goff gets 1, that's 23. That's not enough. After Jared Goff threw the fumbling interception, ground and pound, I'm sorry, Gibbs would have had 200 yards this game for me. Gibbs would have had 200, and Montgomery would have had another 100. They should have went to the run game. These teams, I'm telling y'all, man, they be their own worst enemy. They be their own worst enemy. You got to run the ball, man. They should have ran the ball right there. They should have. What's going on? Why the MFS? Podcast, you stupid. All quarterbacks need that. Yes, sir. A lot of times we be putting this stuff on one quarterback when all of them need it. All these quarterbacks need run games. All these quarterbacks need defenses. They do. Sheigel's sweating like a thief in the church. I bet they're not ice cold. Woo, I bet they ready because I know I would be. And the reason why I would be ready, because I know one, the Rams are not better than the Eagles. They're not. They're just not better than the Eagles. They're not. The Washington Commanders, they're not better than the Eagles. They're not better than the Eagles. That defense, I promise y'all, that offense y'all saw tonight, it will not look the same against the Eagles. If I'm the Eagles right now, I'm a shark. I smell blood in the water. I'm going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to the Super Bowl. How long was it for Washington, Detroit to figure it out? It's been years. Years and years and years. And when you think about the Detroit Lions, it's been a bunch of losing years in the making that got them to where they are. Yeah, usually they think about Dak all day and all night. Meanwhile, he's sleeping on a bed full of money. Zar said, I'll be back tomorrow to eat my hat if the Eagles lose. I'll stand by. Yeah, I'm a stand-up guy, but I really think the Eagles will win. Zar, I'm with you. Hey, I'm coming on tomorrow night. I'm telling y'all, I am coming on tomorrow night. And I'm telling you, I'm either going to be telling you I told you so. I'm not one to like to say I told you so, but I'm going to be saying it tomorrow. I'm going to be saying it tomorrow. I told you so because I'm telling y'all, Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to smash on these. I'm telling y'all, and I've been saying this. I'm not just been saying this because Wilson T will tell you. He's been saying I'm an undercover Eagles fan. I've been saying this. The Eagles are built to beat the Chiefs. The Eagles did something that other teams should follow suit on. They built a team to win championships. You can tell me anything you want to about Jalen Hurts. They're not concerned about Jalen Hurts throwing the ball 25 and 30 times unless they absolutely need him to. That's the break in case of emergency. That's what that is. They all got a game plan. They understand what they are. Okay. We got two great wideouts and a tight end. But we still only want Jalen Hurts to throw the ball 20 times or less. 20 times or less. We're going to run the ball. We're going to control the time of possession. We're going to control the line of scrimmage on the offensive side. Our defensive line is great also. They're going to control the ball they're going to control the line of scrimmage on the defensive side. We got great safeties. They can cover. They can come down and hit. They get turnovers. The Eagles are built to win in the playoffs. They are. They're built to win in the playoffs. I'm ready. I am ready because I'm telling you, I want Jerry Jones. I want Jerry Jones to think about this even after this season is over, because if the Eagles win tomorrow, which I think they will, Eagles and Commanders will guarantee there will be an NFC East team in the Super Bowl. And one of those two, either the coordinator or the coach, will have come from the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones chose Mike McCarthy over one or both of those coaches. He had both of them on his staff, and they're both still in the playoffs, and the Cowboys sit at home. I want him to see it. I want him to see it. Sometimes seeing is believing. Jarrett Jones. This isn't about Z. I'm telling you. Y'all keep saying, it's funny to me. People keep saying that this man is trash. I had to put my son on notice tonight. Y'all keep talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all keep talking about Jalen Hurts is trash. You know what I find to be amazing? My son was saying he's not top 5. You can tell me anything you want to about Jalen Hurts not being top 5. All them quarterbacks y'all talking about top 5, guess where they are? They at home. They're at home. And everybody keeps saying, oh, it's Saquon Barkley. That's why Jalen Hurts is winning. I forgot. Jalen Hurts didn't go to a Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. Stop acting like that if Jalen Hurts goes back to the Super Bowl, can we please stop acting like this is Jalen Hurts' first rodeo in this thing? Y'all can tell me, and I'm not. I'm just telling you. I just have to speak facts. I am not an Eagles fan. But to call a man trash, and he's been to the bleeping Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley, and now we're saying that if he goes back, it's on account of Saquon Barkley. Hold on a second, I'm confused. How can it be because of Saquon Barkley, but then when he went without Saquon Barkley, what was it because of then? What was it because of? Because I don't remember anybody saying anything about anybody being the reason why Jalen Hurts went to the Super Bowl, other than the fact that Jalen Hurts literally balled out and went to the doggone Super Bowl. I don't remember any of this talk. This isn't even. I do not understand how can you call someone trash and they've been to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that you can be. It's not that you can't be trash and go to the Super Bowl. But Jalen Hurts went to this Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl. Hold on a second. I'm confused. Somebody help me out. Did Jalen Hurts have Saquon Barkley in 2023? Jalen Hurts in 2023 in the divisional round smashed on the Philadelphia Eagles 38-7. In the NFC NFL Conference Championships, NFC Championship game, 2023, 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7. 38-7 Was Saquon Barkley on the Eagles at this time too? Hold on a second. So this is February 12th, 2023. So do we not understand? For everybody who talks about Jalen Hurts, let's take our Philadelphia Eagles hating glasses off for a moment. So you're telling me the same guy right here in 2023, who is just 2 years removed from the Super Bowl, who might be going back. So you're telling me that this quarterback is trash. Now, if you told me he only been to one Super Bowl, I'd be like, okay, well, hey, anybody can make the argument Trent Dilfer won to get the Super Bowl one time. But hold on a second. So you're telling me he now has the opportunity, and unless something weird happens, they're going back to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. And you're telling me that Saquon Barkley is the common denominator when it's actually Jalen Hurts who's been on both of these teams. Something isn't adding up. Hold on a second. Something isn't adding up. So you're telling me that this same quarterback right here, now maybe I'm going crazy. This is the NFL. You're telling me that Patrick Mahomes was 21 for 27, 182 and 3 touchdowns, and Jalen Hurts, who's absolute trash. See, I'm telling us, we be speaking with our emotions a lot of times. But your emotions don't speak facts. The facts are the facts. This man was 27 of 38, 304 yards and 1 touchdown. And you're telling me he's trash. You're telling me he's trash when Jalen Hurts was literally carrying the Philadelphia Eagles on his back. He was 15 carries for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. You're telling me this same Jalen Hurts is trash. This man accounted for 370 yards. What? Man, you know what? You can hate Jalen Hurts all you want to. And if you hate Jalen Hurts, man, I'll go, hey, you know what? That's your prerogative. But to call a man trash. And we saying the only reason he in the Super Bowl is Saquon Barkley. Well, who was the reason this time? Who was it in 2023? Who was it in 2023 while Jalen Hurts was in the Super Bowl? Hold on a second. Somebody got to help me out. I don't see Saquon Barkley on the team in 2023. So the Philadelphia Eagles ran the ball 32 times. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but isn't that 32? Let me make sure here. That's 15, 22, 29, 32. He was 15 of 70. The team combined, he was 15 of 70. The team combined is what? 17 of 45? They were 17 for 45, and he was 15 for 70 with 3 touchdowns. And y'all are telling me that Jalen Hurts is trash. Where was Saquon Barkley? They scored 35 points. Jalen Hurts scored 28 points. This is trash. This is trash. Now, I don't want the Eagles. If it's down to the Cowboys are my team. But to call Jalen Hurts trash. He's been to the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. And he's putting up video game numbers. Jalen Hurts put the entire team on his shoulders. I'm confused on this. I'm absolutely confused on us calling this man trash. How is he trash? He outperformed Patrick Mahomes through the air and on the ground. Explain to me again how he's trash. It was probably one of the better Super Bowls we've seen in a long time. Explain to me. Now, again, I understand people got their hate on for Jalen Hurts because he's an Eagle. But trash? You're just going to have to help me out here because I'm missing something. I'm missing something because every time I go in these playoffs to this man's stats, he's carrying the team. Now, the Giants game, he was 16-24, 154, 2 touchdowns. They obviously had a heck of a game. I mean, look at the ground game. Kenneth Gainwell, Jalen Hurts, again, he was 9 for 34. He had a touchdown. I mean, Jalen Hurts is carrying the team. He's trash? Some of us do not know the definition of trash. I don't understand this stuff. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe these stats are lying to me that this man actually is not good. And I actually watched these games. He was 15 of 25, 121 yards. He was 11 for 39, 3.5 yards, 1 touchdown. They smashed on the San Francisco 49ers, 31-7. Jalen Hurts, the run game, they scored 4 touchdowns in the run game. He's a part of that. Jalen Hurts was the best offensive player on that team in 2023. He was. And to really put the cherry on the top, you're looking at those two games, it was all Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. It was all Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. It was him. If anybody could say they were him in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts was him. This man put up almost 400 yards of offense by himself and 4 touchdowns, and we're calling this man trash. That right there, that ought to revoke a person's license right there. I mean, that ought to revoke a person's license. You can dislike the man, but to call him trash? That's crazy work. That's crazy work. That is crazy work. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Troy Dudley. So have the Commanders. They both played a lot of close games. The thing is, in those close games, it's pretty obvious that the Eagles have come out on top more times than the more times than the Commanders, even though they got 12 wins too. Jared, I'm telling you, boy, you talking about borrowing another Chiefs rig job. Boy, if there's a game that somebody could have ever said was rigged, man, that game today, it was hard to look at. I mean, they literally took game-changing moments away from the Houston Texans. Game-changing moments. Michelle said, I know we are vesting the Eagles to win, but I think it is not going to be an upset, Michelle. I'm telling you it's not going to be an upset. You're going to be telling me you told me so tomorrow. You either going to tell me I told you so, I'm going to tell you I told you so. But I'm telling you, I think the Eagles are going to smash on them boys. I'm telling y'all, they're going to look different against they're not going to do what they did against the Vikings. They're just not going to do it. The team's better. Eagle fans are not worried. They're not worried. I'm telling you, they're not worried. Nisa said, y'all want G to fall all the way out if the Rams win tomorrow. Because I'm going to fall out. Because I just don't think it's going to happen unless they knock Jalen Hurts out of the game. But if they knock Jalen Hurts out of the game, Kenny Pickett, Kellen Moore will just change the game plan. He knows Jalen Hurts can't run. So you know what he'll do? He'll go to work in that passing game. He'll go to work in that passing game the same way he did against us when we played him. He's going to go to work on them. He is going to go to work on them. Nah, no team is going to smash the Commanders with Jaden Daniels. Watch what I tell you. Jared, the Eagles are smelling blood in the water, I guarantee you. Because they know they're better than the Commanders. They know they're better. There is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. They are a better team, record-wise, on paper, player for player, pound for pound. They're better. They're going to smash on them boys. I'm telling you, they're going to smash on them. No doubt to me, they're going to smash on them. But you're going to be telling me you told me so if they don't. Jerry needs a serious wake-up call. Hey, Jose, if having the Washington Commanders and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, and then either the Eagles or, let me tell you something. It's one thing for the Eagles to go, Jose. What if Dan Quinn takes the Commanders to the Super Bowl? Woo. If Dan Quinn takes the Commanders to the Super Bowl, whoo. You want to talk about Mike McCarthy got to lose sleep over that. Mike McCarthy probably tell you that's the very reason why I was worried about that man. He's better than me. Ooh, man. Man. Dan Quinn in the Super Bowl, Jerry won't be able to take it. Jerry will not be able to take Dan Quinn in the Super Bowl. Woo, man. Mills, what's going on? Doris Armstrong, 2 sacks. And one of them was a huge script fumble that was turning point in the game. Dan Quinn is eating with these players, Mills. Dan Quinn is eating with these players he took from Dallas. Phew. Rush got 5 of those wins. Rush got 5 of those wins 2022. No, Rush got 5 of the 24 wins. He got 1 of the wins in 2021 against the Minnesota Vikings, and then he got 4 of the wins in 2022. But the video game numbers all come from Dak Prescott. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And I'll say this, Ice Cold Cowboy. Dak has pretty much won with all of these guys. Man, I'm telling you something. I like Dak Prescott. Love Dak Prescott. But it's not because of the love of Dak Prescott that I talk about his. I don't have to make stuff up. I'm giving facts. His numbers, his wins, undeniable. His leadership, undeniable. I'll tell you this. If Dak Prescott had as good of a team as Jalen Hurts, and I'm telling y'all, you can tell me anything you want to. We have not had a team. We have not had a team as good as what Jalen Hurts is on right now. Dak Prescott has never been on a team like that. And I'll even go even further. Detroit Lions, when they're healthy, Dak Prescott's never been on a team like that. If you put Dak on a team like the Eagles or the Lions, and he failed, I'll even tell you he's not him. I'll tell you, I'll say it straight up. The Detroit Lions, even with Jared Goff, I know Jared Goff feels bad. Nobody will have to tell Jared Goff anything. Jared Goff feels like trash right now. Jared Goff knows their defense was not on all cylinders. But he also knows that if there's one thing he couldn't do, he couldn't turn the ball over with the defense that he was currently operating with. And when you look at, I'm telling you, when you look at the Detroit Lions, just look at the depth chart for these guys. The depth chart for these guys is insane. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, Sam Laporta. And behind Jahmyr Gibbs, you got David Montgomery. That is insanity. This is insanity. This roster is insanity. We've never had, now we've had at times we've had a running back that was good. These guys are so good. Ben Johnson could have did this tonight. Ben Johnson could have literally turned the game over to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. He could have turned the game over. Early on in the game, the moment he saw the bleeding, Ben Johnson could have said, hold on a second. Jared's turning over the ball. It's time to run the ball. Until they stop it, we're going to run the ball. And if they don't stop it, we're going to, because how do they get tired? You're not running one running back, you're running two. I went tag team. Whoop, there it is on these boys. I went tag team on them. You cannot have these two horses in the stable and not literally pummel a team. You can pummel a team with these two. You can beat a team into submission, and you would have opened it up for Jared Goff to get some better wide open throws. Ben Johnson, to me, tonight, I mean, this is to me kind of some of the stuff that happens when you put these teams in these, you start putting these coaches in situations to where, hey, man, they got this interview with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so want to interview with them. And people start saying stuff like, yeah, they're auditioning for the job against this team right here in this team. And I think sometimes if a coach is not careful, I think he may put himself into a mode of, I'm going to show everybody. And Ben Johnson is a showman. They were burying teams this year when they had teams down by a gazillion points, and they were still putting the pedal to the metal. You give Dak Prescott that roster. Dak's never had a roster like that. And that one isn't even the insult to injury. This is why I keep telling folk, people are being very disingenuous. To say stuff like, yeah, man, it's all Saquon Barkley. He wasn't there when they went to the first Super Bowl, and this is just 2 years ago. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago without Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts was the quarterback. It is insanity to say stuff like this, and it is very disrespectful to the rest of the team. And I'm saying a team because these dudes have a team. Look at this. This roster is incredible that Jalen Hurts is on. Barkley in the backfield. Gainwell his backup. Don't sleep on Shipley. He can run the ball too. Shipley can literally run the ball too. They got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Anaya Smith has been pretty good. Jahan Dotson. These dudes are loaded. Dallas Goedert. They got a fullback. But this is the part no one talks about. This offensive line is crazy. It is. Minnesota is not going to do, they're not going to go like water through Swiss cheese slices like they did on the Vikings. The Rams are not going to do that on this offensive line. They're not going to do it. Man, they got Lane Johnson up in this thing. They're not doing that. This line, I'm telling you, if you told me Dak Prescott had this squad, we don't even talk about this. Their D-line is insane. It's insane. And their cornerbacks, I think their rookies need some work, but their safeties. They had 8 interceptions when they got to the Dallas game. They're turnover machines. They turn teams over at an alarming rate. They're safeties. They turn them over at an alarming rate. Man, if Dak Prescott was on this squad right here, if Dak Prescott had that squad right there, and Dak didn't win, I'm joining in the Dak hate. I would join in the Dak hate because that squad right here, I'm telling y'all keep making this about Jalen Hurts the same way people keep making it about Dak Prescott. In both instances, this isn't about Jalen Hurts. This isn't about Dak Prescott. The Eagles had been there and done that. They went to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts carrying the team on his back. Howie Roseman said, not this time. We're not going to the Super Bowl and Jalen Hurts is going to have a whole team on his back. We're going to the Super Bowl this time as a team. They put a team around Jalen Hurts. And if I'm Jalen Hurts, I don't care what anyone says. If I can win games and only throw the ball 15 times, sign me up. Sign me up. I don't have to be the best quarterback. Sign me up. Where do I sign up to be on the best team and go to Super Bowl? Sign me up. I don't want to be the best. I don't want to be the best quarterback in the league not going to Super Bowls. I don't want to be Justin Herbert. I don't want to be Trevor Lawrence. I don't want to be those type of guys. Everybody trying to put me in the top 5. I don't want to be those types of guys. Even Lamar Jackson got tired of being that guy. You think Lamar Jackson want to keep winning multiple MVPs, first and second team, first team All-Pros, going to Pro Bowls, but then when he get to the playoffs, he lose. So somebody thinks that's what he wants. They went and got this man a running game. They had the defense, had the quarterback, D-line, O-line. Okay, why is it we're not getting over the hump with all of this? How about you go get a running back that's a better runner than the quarterback? Never thought of that. They went and got Derrick Henry. They're the perfect fit. I'm very interested. You know what? As much as I think the NFL are going to try to cheat KC into the Super Bowl, I'm telling you, nobody wants the Ravens to get past the Bills because if they do, it's a wrap. I don't even think the Bills are going to be able to match them. They've already undressed them once. I don't care if they're playing in Timbuktu. Run games travel. I don't care if they're in the North Pole with Santa Claus and there's ice all over the field. Run games travel. And so do defensive lines. They travel. Because then it becomes about the run. And that's where those types of teams flourish because they can control the lines of scrimmage. They can. They can. I'm telling this, man. I don't understand what we're talking about because the way these teams are built right now, man, this is how I want the Cowboys to be built. I do. He says, Fowler, yep, Dan Quinn, the NFC Championship game possible, Super Bowl. We the Cowboys are a joke, and Dak never should have gave him that contract. Now, Mills, the contract isn't the problem. It actually isn't. We've been listening to the Joneses too much. The contract isn't the problem. And you know how I know the contract isn't the problem? So if you're saying what you're saying, about Dak Prescott, you're talking about his contract, right? So you saw the performance tonight of Jared Goff. So what do you think the Detroit Lions are thinking right now? What do you think they're thinking? They just signed Jared Goff. I mean, they just signed Jared Goff. $170 million total guaranteed. They just signed Jared Goff. And I'm pretty sure they're going to find a way to rework Jared Goff's contract. I mean, they already got a restructure here of some sort. Next year, he's going to make a base of 18. You'll get the prorated signing bonus. That'll be $32 million. But then over here, you look at this number. They got the dead cap money. I guess they're carrying over in some form or fashion. They got a similar contract to Dak Prescott to where they cannot get from up under this contract until 2027. And if they cut him in 2027, a pre-June 1st release, it'll be a dead cap hit of $29 million, and they'll save $25 million. It's kind of where the Dallas Cowboys are with Dak Prescott. But the reason why I'm saying that, Mills, you have to understand, the contracts are not the problem. Dak's contract is not a problem. Signing Dak Prescott is not going to hurt the Cowboys. Not signing Dak Prescott would have killed the Cowboys. Contract's not the problem. Dak Prescott contract is set up. They got it already set up. Whenever they want to do something with Dak Prescott's contract, it's the way everyone manages it. It's no different than what everyone else does. They just do it better than the Cowboys. This is why you put the void years in contracts. You put void years in the contracts, and then you can work those contracts all the way down to the void years until you get them to the point to where you can cut them to where it's less. It'll hurt you less. The contract for Dak, I ain't telling you, it's not the problem. It's the same thing with Detroit. These contracts for these quarterbacks are actually not the problem. None of them. The problem is the mismanagement of the cap by the Joneses. Waiting too long to sign players. Could have got Dak Prescott for $10 or $15 million cheaper. Could have got CeeDee Lamb for $8 to $9 million cheaper. Waiting until the last minute, talking about deadlines, get deals done. That's dumb. We don't want to set the market. Why not? If you set the market, then they get to beat the market. But if you don't set the market, then they set the market. Then if you decide you're going to pay that player, then you got to go excessively high. No. Trust me, Mills, it's not Dak's contract. Dak's contract is never, for the remainder of Dak's contract from this point forward, the moment they re-sign Dak Prescott, the contract will never be a problem again unless they decide to cut Dak Prescott year one, which is next year because that's when the contract starts, unless they decide to cut Dak Prescott in year one, year two, year three, which I know they're not going to do. Year four will either be the cut or the rework. Let me go a little bit further down. It's about time for me to get off here. I know y'all got to go. I got to go to church in the morning. I still got faith that he's going to make moves. I don't understand what you're talking about. What has he shown you that he's not going to make moves? No, Jerry's going to make moves. And Willie T, I've already explained this. You don't understand what I'm telling you. Do you not realize, Willie T? Now, I keep proving you wrong time after time. I don't know why you keep trying to go up against me. You're not winning. You're not winning, bro. You're not winning. I keep hitting you with facts, and all you keep hitting me with is your emotions. I am fully confident in then Jerry's going to make moves. And this is one of the reasons. I had to keep showing you. I can't tell you. And even when I show you, you won't come back and admit, yeah, you're right about that. No, you won't do it. It sounds like you just like to argue. I don't like to argue. I'm not that type of person. I like to show facts. I leave all that stuff for folk who like to argue. I ain't got time for it. Now, you either going to take these facts or you going to argue with yourself, because I'm not going to keep arguing with you. I'm going to show you the facts again. You take this how you want to. Study it on your own. I'm tired of doing people's homework for them. y'all got to learn. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind. I'm going to show you whatever I can. I'm going to show you whatever I can. But at the same time, if you're going to make definitive statements, then you got to make sure before you make definitive statements that you know what you're talking about, rather than just popping off and mad about this or that. Or I don't let the Jerry Jones, whatever Jerry does and do, control the facts. I mean, we know what Jerry Jones is and what he isn't. Let me show you. I'm going to just show you the proof of why I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you the proof. I'm not going to tell you. Let's stop the press. Hold on a second. Y'all hold on just a second. I had the list of this. Let's see here. All right, y'all bear with me. I'm gonna show you something here. All right, so let me see if I can. Okay, now I'm gonna show you something here. I'm gonna show all of y'all this. You gotta learn how to use common sense. Y'all might not realize something that Jerry did, and I'm not sure if Jerry did this to himself on purpose. And I think he did do some of it on purpose with the way he did this, because Jerry could have did this totally different if he wanted to. So this leads me to believe that Jerry Jones did this to himself on purpose. I want y'all to look at this list. This is called the free agency list that the Dallas Cowboys have going into the 2025 season. And if you look at this list, there are 30 players on this list. And if you look at this part, these UFAs, these are unrestricted free agents. They walk away scot-free. They walk away scot-free. There's no trade. There's none of this. They walk away scot-free. And then they got some other guys that are the restricted free agents, of where Dallas is some kind of thing to where basically there's a certain amount of money that they can command. They can go out, work deals, whatever the case may be, but the Cowboys get the first offer on them regardless. And then if there's a refusal of the offer, whatever the case may be, there's a certain amount of money that the Cowboys are going to have to pay them. I'll go into that when I start discussing this a little bit more after the playoffs. But the reason why I know Jerry Jones is going to do something, he doesn't have a choice. So again, I'm going to prove you again wrong, Willie T. I know you ain't going to apologize. Jerry had a plan. You know how I know? Because Jerry could have signed any of these players. Jerry could have signed any of these players, Willie T. Anybody listening? Jerry could have signed any of these players. Last season, during the season, Jerry could have signed any of them. Why didn't he? Why didn't he sign them? Cowboys got $20-something million available right now. They can sign players. Flip the switch on Dak Prescott's contract. Flip the switch on CeeDee Lamb's contract, which is exactly what they're going to do when the league year starts over again. They're going to get in excess of $100-something million. They're probably going to cut the safeties. They're probably either going to cut Terrence Steele or rework his deal. The Cowboys are going to have all kinds of money available The issue is they have a lot of free agents. They've put themselves in this position. Listen to what I'm telling you. It was a plan. Jerry had already made his mind up when Mike McCarthy lost against the Green Bay Packers. Jerry knew in his mind then, I'm probably not bringing back Mike McCarthy. You know how I know? Because he could have signed him. He could have extended him immediately after the season and said, no, we're on to something. We're going to keep on doing this. We're going to extend Mike 3 years. He didn't do it because Jerry had a plan. Jerry had a plan. It's called planned demolition. Jerry planned to blow this team up. Blow it up. Including the coaches. Blow it up. All of them on 1-year deals. So you're telling me, Willie T, that's accident. So you're telling me that's an accident when you have the power of the pen to sign all of those coaches and all of those players. No, Willie T, that's a plan. You don't think Jerry Jones knows what this list looks like? Jerry Jones has this list on his desk. I promise you he does. Jerry Jones has this list on his desk. And anytime Jerry Jones wanted to, Jerry Jones could have did something about this list. Start learning football. Stop talking about football. When you learn it, you'll say things that sometimes people won't understand. But when they do their research, they'll go, oh, okay, I see what he's talking about. Jerry put himself in the position of, I'm going to rebuild this team. And my plan is simple. I have 3 cornerstone players. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. Those are my 3 cornerstone players. I already got DaRon Bland on contract. I already signed Trayvon Diggs. We don't know what he's going to be no more. But Trayvon Diggs is already signed. I already got Demarion Overshown. These are also cornerstone players, Bland and Overshown. But they're not up on them contracts just yet. But as far as what he's going to do this year, Jerry had a plan, Willie T. It's called a plan. You don't do this. Jerry's not dumb as you think he is. This is called a plan. And the plan always was from the beginning. Because they failed against the Green Bay Packers, and Jerry decided, I'm not dealing with this mess no more. I'm not dealing with the mess of Mike McCarthy. And if I do, and if Mike McCarthy is going to stay on this team, Mike McCarthy is going to understand I have a plan. And you're not the long-term plan. I'm going to bring Jason Witten on this team. You're going to be on a quote-unquote tolerance of ambiguity contract. Who knows what he was offering Mike McCarthy? But we know Jason Witten was a part of the deal. I don't know. Maybe you don't believe James Slater either, but I'm sure with everything that we're seeing in the tea leaves, Jason Witten was a part of the plan. And I also believe another part of the plan was I don't believe he was going to let Mike McCarthy call plays again. Now, no one's going to say that, but Jerry never wanted Mike McCarthy to call plays from the beginning. How do I know? Because he didn't come in calling plays. It was never in the plan. Mike McCarthy bucked that plan, and so when he got the play calling, okay, you better do better than Kellen Moore then. He didn't. Contrary to what people think, he didn't do better than Kellen Moore. He actually failed. He did worse than Kellen Moore. And so when you talk about a plan, you must have a plan, Willie T, if you're going into 2025 with 30 free agents. And more than half, Willie T, they're all unrestricted. And you could have signed these players anytime you wanted to, but you didn't want to. Why? Because it's a part of the plan. This isn't rocket science. We don't understand. This is the football business. It's the football business. And in business, Jerry has a plan. You don't have to like the plan. That's the problem with so many of y'all. Y'all don't like the plan. I'm not hating on you for not liking the plan. But just because you don't like the plan don't mean it wasn't a plan. Jerry planned on signing Dak Prescott. He planned on it. You know how I know? Because Dak's deal was already worked out to be extended. And the reason why it wasn't going to work if they didn't extend it is that it was going to cripple them on the salary cap. So many people talk about, oh man, they just should have walked from up on the Dak's contract. They couldn't. He was going to hit them with 50-something million out the door and 40-something million the next season. Who are you signing? Who are you signing? You're not signing anybody. Who are you signing? Trey Lance was not designed to take the place of Dak Prescott. Trey Lance was designed to make Dak Prescott give the team a more friendly deal. That's what he was designed for. And if Dak walks away, then okay, well, we'll keep Trey Lance on the cheap, but they're crippled. Because they would not have been able to make another move, including CeeDee Lamb. The money they would have had to move around, and it wasn't going to be possible. Because, okay, so if I make all of these concessions and I get CeeDee Lamb, how do I get Micah Parsons? Dak Prescott's deal was designed to extend. It was. And the problem is, Jerry should have extended it. He should have extended it a year earlier, but he decided to wait. Why? Okay, I got a plan. He explained it to us. Tolerance of ambiguity. Let's see what happens if I put everybody on edge. Put them on prove-it deals. Take them to the last minute of their deals. Let's see how they perform. Well, he couldn't do it with Dak Prescott because Trey Lance didn't work out right. So he had to go ahead and sign Dak Prescott. But as far as all these other people go, the coaches, all of them, that's a plan. You have to plan it out, Willie T. If you got a whole staff of coaches and they're on the last year of their deal, do you not know that you don't want to sign them, or do you know you don't want to sign them? Is it a plan or not? It's called a plan. I'm not going into the next year with all of these unrestricted free agents unless I want to. They wanted to. They don't plan on bringing a lot of these people back. It's called a plan. They don't plan on bringing a lot of these people back. And some of these players that we absolutely love, get ready, because they're not coming back. Dan Quinn is once again, I guarantee you, Dan Quinn's going to have a lot of our players. There are players on this list, I promise you, Dan Quinn is salivating for. I wouldn't be surprised. DeMarcus Lawrence, Zach Martin, would not be surprised if they're not going to be with Dan Quinn. Won't be surprised if Zach Martin's with Cincinnati. DeMarcus Lawrence is good in the run. He's going to go somewhere else. Trey Lance, I got a feeling there's going to be a market for Trey Lance. If not, he'll probably be back in Dallas. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys do try to work something with Eric Kendricks, but if they don't, he's going to be somewhere else. Brian Anger, he's 37 years old? It might be time for him to go. And if you look at some of these players at the top, look at their ages. You don't think it was a plan? This is all planned. Jerry's getting younger. Jerry is going to get younger, with the exception of his quarterback. But think about it. In quarterback years, Dak Prescott is young because these quarterbacks today are playing to about 40, 38 to 40. So in quarterback years, Dak is still young, but the contract was made to be extended. And if they didn't extend it, they'd have been in trouble. Look at these guys. Jordan Lewis, Cooper Rush. You don't think they could have already signed Jordan Lewis? Cooper Rush. You got Linval Joseph. I think he's the long snapper. He's probably going to be around, if I'm not mistaken. CJ Goodwin, 35. You just think about these people. This is called the plan. Jerry is doing this on purpose. Jerry is blowing this entire team up. I think Osa Odigizua has played himself out of a contract, unrestricted free agent. Rico Dowdle probably won't be back for sure. Chauncey Golston probably won't be back. This team's going to look totally different. This team is going to look totally different. I am not going to be surprised if KaVontae Turpin is not here. Because if I was a team and the Cowboys put a third-round tender on KaVontae Turpin, I'd make him an offer and I'd give up the draft pick. KaVontae Turpin is that good. So when you look at this list, so if Jerry doesn't play in free agency, what is he going to do? What is he going to do, Willie T? What is he going to do? Jerry put himself in this situation on purpose. Jerry has a plan. You don't have to like the plan. And I'm sure no one's going to like the plan. Jerry has a plan. Jerry talked all that noise, but Jerry never planned. Jerry never planned on letting go of Dak Prescott. He never planned it. He never planned it. Dak Prescott was never out of the plan for the Dallas Cowboys. Never. Never. He was never out of the plans. Never, ever was Dak Prescott out of the plan. They looked at the pros and the cons, and he was always in the plan. And looking at this unrestricted free agent list, it lets you know, having all the coaches on the last year of their deal, it lets you know all of this is planned. And you don't have to believe me. Mike Fisher was saying the same thing. Mike Fisher was saying it from the beginning too. This is all a plan. It always has been. Needs to say when Teddy came in, they should have kept him a few more series. Yeah, I think it would have changed the game. And the reason why I think it would have changed the game is simply because they would have had to rely on the run more. Because there's no way you were going to bring Teddy Bridgewater in slinging it all over the thing. Cowboy had heard of Dak should have left this season and gave y'all what the Panthers are getting for about 4 years. Yeah. Cowboy had heard it. Dak could have left if he wanted to. Stephen Jones said that was also one of the reasons why they brought Trey Lance in, because he was saying that Dak Prescott could have walked. He was saying that Dak could have walked, but it was always in the plan. Everything that we're watching right now, y'all just don't like it. I'm just telling you the truth. Y'all just don't like it. I've been talking about this all season long. Playing demolition. You don't get 30. You don't get 30 free agents unless you want to. You don't get that unless you want to. You want to. You want to get that. Yeah, all the pressure was on the lines tonight. Yep. Well, especially due to the fact, Kelvin Bryant, they knew their defense wasn't what it was supposed to be. They knew their defense wasn't what it's supposed to be. Dak is 30 or 31. That's far from old from quarterbacks. That's what I keep telling folks. That's not old. That's not old. You got about 10 more years as a quarterback if you'll take care of yourself. I mean, that's not old. Yep, Breeze was 30 or 31 before he finally won. And that's why I keep telling people, man, just pump your brakes on Dak Prescott. We've been spoiled by Patrick Mahomes. Let's pump the brakes. Let this man finish his career out. Let this man finish his career out, for sure. Willie T, I'm about to put you to Willie T. Now, when I show you this, when are you going to concede? When are you going to concede and understand that one thing you're gonna figure out about me? I'm not gonna do a lot of talking unless I know what I'm talking about. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind because I already did the research on this. I'm already days ahead of you on this. So you said, the fact is, let me put your comment up again. Let me go back. Let me see if I can find it. You said Dak put up MVP numbers the first year without Kellen Moore, but with McCarthy. So first thing I'm going to show you, or I'm going to tell you, Mike McCarthy admitted himself when he was talking about Mike Zimmer that the first year he took over the play calling, he left a lot of the Kellen Moore stuff in place. And he said for Dak's sake, because he didn't want to make them changes. You remember the Texas Coast? You want to know why he didn't call it the West Coast? Because it wasn't the stalest toast West Coast. And in particular during week 6, Los Angeles Chargers game. Remember how the Cowboys took off? Go back and read some of these articles they talked about. Mike McCarthy finally started trusting the players. And he went back and input this offense that wasn't his. Who was it? Whose offense was it? It was a hybrid of that Kellen Moore stuff that he left in along with some of the new wrinkles that people are doing today. He relinquished that raggedy West Coast. But now I'm going to show you something else. Because I was getting ready to do a video about this. And I still may do it. But I'm going to show you again something that I have been working on. Let's see here. See if I can pull it up. So I've been working on a video based on the very thing that you just said, Willie T. Because I was amazed that the rumor is that the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Bears has narrowed it down now to 2 coaches. Mike McCarthy and Ben Johnson, which is astounding to me. Because I don't understand all the Mike McCarthy talk. Because we know how he got ran out of town. We know what the article said. He lost total control of the offense. He didn't know how to use his weapons. I mean, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to show you something, Willie T, that I'm going to show you a sneak peek of a video that I've already been working on. So you said that Dak Prescott, when he got away from Kellen Moore, you said he put up MVP numbers. I want to show you Dak Prescott's numbers in 2023. This is Dak's numbers. 17 games, 410 completions, 590 attempts, 69.5% completion ratio, 4,516 yards, 7.7 yards per throw, 265.6 yards per game, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 105.9 rating, 6.1% TD percentage, 1.5 TD percentage, interception percentage. You ready to have your entire theory debunked and destroyed? Because, see, a lot of y'all listen to the media. I don't listen to the media. As in, I don't take what they say at face value. When they say things, now I go back and do my research. Let me show y'all Dak Prescott in 2021. Dak Prescott in 2021 missed 1 game. Minnesota Vikings. Cooper Rush came in and won the game. Dak Prescott missed 1 game in 2021. This is Kellen Moore. 16 games. So he missed a game. He had 411 completions in 16 games, 410 completions in 17 games. 1 less game. He was 68.8% percentage completion in 2021, 69.5% completion percentage in 2023. So you're telling me less than a 1% difference. Hold on a second. 17 games, 45-16. Hold on a second. So in 2023, under Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott threw for a whopping 4,516 yards. Right, Willie T? Let me tell you what he threw for in 2021. He threw for 4,483 yards. A grand total difference of 33 yards and one less game. Wait. Let's go on. An average of 7.7 yards per game. 2021, 7.5 yards per game. 2023, 265.6 yards per game. 2021, 280.2 yards per game. One less game. Everybody was acting like when Dak Prescott threw 36 touchdowns with one Mike McCarthy, they were acting like, whoa, man, Mike McCarthy improved Dak Prescott's whole career. Can I show you 2021? Dak Prescott threw for a whopping 37 touchdowns. He threw one more touchdown, Willie T, in one less game. Wait a minute. Whoa, man. He reduced Dak Prescott's interception percentage. Y'all need to understand something what happened to Dak Prescott in 2022, and they'll never admit it. Dak Prescott came back extremely early from that broken thumb. And Dak was not throwing quite right until the end of the season with that thumb. We know he came back early. He threw 15 interceptions. They made a big deal out of it. Ever since then, they done forgot all about it. Jalen Hurts surpassed it. Josh Allen surpassed it. Everybody surpassed it because in actuality, Dak was never an interception thrower in the first place. You know how I know? Everybody bragging. Yeah, he got Dak Prescott down to 9 interceptions. He only threw 10 in 2021. What? You see how y'all get fooled by the media? So y'all think Dak Prescott just had an MVP season when Dak had already had an MVP season. This is insanity. 105.9 rating? 104.4 rating? You're talking about a 1.1 raise in the rating? TD percentage, 6.1. TD percentage in 2021, 6.2. 1.7 interception percentage in 2021, 1.5. And one less game. Tell me again, Willie T. Tell me again. Did he have an MVP season before Mike McCarthy? Or did they finally decide to vote him in as an MVP or second team All-Pro and MVP runner-up? Did they finally decide to recognize him when Dak had already did this before? Man, Dak been doing this. I'm showing you facts. I'm going to leave them right here. These are the facts. Stop acting like. And people need to stop acting like, oh, yeah, Mike McCarthy, but we want him to develop Caleb Williams. Do we not realize Dak was already developed when this man got here? This man was already putting up video game numbers. Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott were already putting up video game numbers. People acting like Mike McCarthy improved this team over Kellen Moore. Hold on a second. Kellen Moore in 2022 looked better. Cooper Rush looked better with Kellen Moore than he did with Mike McCarthy. Cooper Rush went 4-1. This man went 4-1, 5-1 over 2 seasons, 5-1 with Kellen Moore. Now, there's some other context that we have to play in there. The defense looked better, all kinds of other things. I'm not oblivious to those. But in 2022, you want to know why Jerry was mad? So you're going to run Kellen Moore out. Kellen Moore ran the ball 36% of the time. Mike McCarthy took the team over and said, I want to run the damn ball. He ran the ball 36% of the time. Those are facts. Go check them. Mike McCarthy ran Kellen Moore out of town. Kellen Moore won one playoff game, ran Tom Brady, retired Tom Brady 30-14. Dak Prescott was flawless in the first game. Tony Pollard broke his leg in the second game. They lost the game to San Francisco 49ers on the road 12-19. You tell me which one is the worst loss. Which one? Is the loss worse with the San Francisco 49ers going into the divisional round with a broke leg by Tony Pollard? Or Mike McCarthy taking over the play calling and they getting absolutely obliterated on both sides of the ball against the Green Bay Packers? I'll wait. You still think it's fact or fiction? Keep telling you, Willie T. I'm gonna put this back up here again. You said, fact, Dak put up MVP numbers. You're missing it. He was already putting up MVP numbers. Prove me wrong. He was already putting up MVP numbers. The only thing that hampered Dak Prescott in 2022 was the broken thumb. But once Dak got that hand back together, they took off down there towards the end. The lie is Mike McCarthy did better with Dak Prescott than Kellen Moore. I've been saying this for now 2 weeks, and people don't get it. Dak Prescott actually did better with Kellen Moore. He did. Dak Prescott did better with Kellen Moore. The points per game, minus the points the defense were putting up, the points per game even went down when Mike McCarthy took over play calling. Go check the facts. Minus the points the defense were putting up, they were at 21 points per game. Isn't it strange? The same average they had this year, 20 to 21 points a game. But with Kellen Moore, they were killing this league. They were 27.6, 28 points per game, and nobody but the Kansas City Chiefs was close. Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore, I'm just telling you, I'm showing you the numbers. I'm not giving you my emotion. I'm giving you the facts. Dak Prescott in one less game, he matched everything that Mike McCarthy did in 2017 with a hybrid of the Kellen Moore system that Mike McCarthy himself admitted he left in. You want to know why that Jerry Jones is now considering Kellen Moore to come back? You want to know why he's considering that? Because all signs point toward maybe you chose the wrong people. Maybe you chose the wrong person over the people. Maybe you shouldn't have chose Mike McCarthy over Amari Cooper. Maybe you shouldn't have chose Mike McCarthy over Kellen Moore. Maybe you shouldn't have chose Mike McCarthy over Dan Quinn. Maybe you should have did your due diligence the first time, Jerry, and rather than eating nachos and beers and drinking beers and listening to your son, Jerry Jr., say, I think we found our man, maybe you should have did your due diligence. See, now I think Jerry has a plan. I actually think Jerry knows exactly who he wants. I think he knows who he wants. 1, 2, and 3. One, two, and 3. It's just a matter of if he's going to be able to get them. Jerry has a plan. And this talk about Mike McCarthy, it is, people do not understand what they're saying. They're speaking a media narrative. But when you look at the facts, I'm talking all the way down to the playoffs. All the way down to the playoffs. Dak and Kellen Moore were better. Dak and Kellen Moore was better. You come off of one playoff win in 2022 to getting beat by the Packers in 2023. See, we thought this thing looked better with Mike McCarthy. No, it didn't. He didn't get not one more win. When Kellen Moore was the OC, 12 wins, 2021, 12 wins, 2022. Mike took over, 12 wins, 2023. People talking about these are MVP numbers. Then you got to tell me now, Willie T, then what are these? What are these then? What in the world is 2021? Because that 2021 season, it looks almost identical with one less game. I'm telling you. Cowboys, I'm telling you. You might not like what I'm telling you, but I'm going to tell you the facts. You don't have to like it. you don't have to like it. I'm doing research on this stuff. You don't have to like it. I'm just telling you the truth. We're going to have some fun tomorrow. We are going to have some fun tomorrow. Because some of y'all think these doggone Rams going to beat the Sheagles, as ice cold cowboy call them. It ain't happening. Michelle, you hitting it on the head. The team was getting healthy. The line looked better. Mike McCarthy started running the ball. Everything he should have been doing with Dak Prescott. Everything. Everything he should have been doing. All right, guys. I got to get going. But I will be back tomorrow after the last playoff game. And a whole bunch of y'all. Y'all going to be telling me y'all was right. Miss Matrix, what's going on? Oh, man. Kevin. Boy, I'm telling you. I said the same thing at the beginning. Man, I feel so bad, man. I feel so bad. I don't typically do, man, but I feel so bad. I felt so bad for Dan Campbell. And the reason why I feel bad for him, Kevin, I feel bad for him because he didn't have his full deck. He didn't. He didn't have his full deck, man. He didn't. I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad. I don't know what else to say, man. I just feel bad for him. DJ, what's going on? Hey, DJ. I just showed the facts. I still got him up here with Dak Prescott. Stu been putting up video game numbers. People don't understand it. This man been putting up video game numbers. He been doing it. Dak played into the narrative that Mike McCarthy did this, that, and the other. But I'm sure Dak knows, if you go back and look at Dak's numbers, the only thing that threw Dak off in 2022 was the broke thumb. Dak, I don't think he could grip the ball right when he first came back, but they wanted him back because the Joneses believe the money belongs on the field. But when Dak got his wheels back up under him, start putting up video game numbers again at the end of the season, got to the playoffs, put up video game numbers against Tampa Bay, and then they all fell flat. Tony Pollard breaking his leg was tough on the team, and they just couldn't recover after that. Now, I don't think they were overhyped, Choke. I think the reality is it is what it is. This is the battle of attrition. When you go to these playoffs, it's not just a matter of who's the best team, but which team is the healthiest. They were playing, 18 backups? They knocked 18 players off their defense. The defense y'all saw at the beginning of the season that was holding teams to 7 points, 10 points, that wasn't the same defense y'all saw tonight. And that's why I'm telling y'all. Same thing I'm telling you about the Rams. The Vikings defense, it's not in the same class as the Eagles. The Vikings offensive line, it's not in the same class as the Eagles. You're going to be shocked at how the Rams are going to look tomorrow. They're not going to look the same against the Eagles. I'm telling you. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm just telling you the truth. Ice Cold Cowboy, I'm just trying to put them facts up there, man. I've been doing research on this. This Mike McCarthy thing is pure lies. And did I not tell y'all a few days ago? Mike McCarthy is somebody I would not mind having on my advisory board, but I would not want him being my coach because Mike knows football. He just can't coach. He's not a good play caller. He calls plays. Someone already said that before. I'm not taking credit for that. Someone said that in the chat, and it makes sense. He calls plays, but he's not a good play caller. He's not a good OC. And so, but if you get him in an interview, and I said this, I bet you in an interview he knocked your socks off. He says all the right things. Only for you to realize 2 to 3 years in, this is not what I thought it was going to be. It is. Jared, did you like the chart I showed up here, man, with Dak Prescott? That's it, Michelle. The goal is championships. Bottom line. The goal is championships. And the way you get championships is with teams. That's it. You get championships with teams. All right, guys. I'm going to let y'all get on. But, yeah, I'm going to be ready tomorrow. Hey, Michelle, you either going to be telling me you told me so, or I'm going to be telling you I told you so. But I'm telling you, the Eagles about to smash on the Rams. I think they smell Super Bowl. Gabe, what's going on? I think they smell Super Bowl. I think them boys about to go up in this thing and go back to their next Super Bowl. And I'm telling you now, the Philadelphia Eagles, whether we like it or not, they're built to win a championship. The Commanders are on their way to being built for a championship. The Rams, they're not a championship team. You watch what I tell you. If the Eagles get in that Super Bowl, the only team that I would fear if I was them is the Baltimore Ravens. But if they get in that Super Bowl against the Chiefs, I don't think they're going to get that three-peat. I think the Eagles will actually beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if they both get there. I mean, that's if the refs don't cheat for them. Yeah, Battle of the Beltway for sure, Michelle. All right, guys. Appreciate you again, Ice Cold. He said, speaking to existence. No. Oh, man. Hey, P-Funk, I thought that today, man. I thought about you when I saw that Kansas City game. Woo, man. Man, no. Hey, Azteca, you just wait tomorrow. I'll be telling you I told you so. Boys gonna smash on them. All right, guys. Till next time, let's talk Cowboys. We talk facts. Peace.